Last night, you spent 2 hours deciding what to wear to the party. This morning, it'll take you 2 minutes to list it on Depop and make your money back. Just grab your phone, snap a few photos, and we'll take care of the rest. The sheer dress and platform heels you'll never wear again? There's a birthday girl searching for them right now. Your one-and-done look is about to pay for your next night out. Or at least the ride home. Your style can make you cash. Start selling on Depop, where taste recognizes taste.
Morning decisions. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
Live from New York, it's the show that always was a little bit worried about the UConn Huskies, despite being on them for decades. Shooting was an issue, and I'll get into why, but congratulations to Michigan and your Wolverines.
I always was rocking with my Wolverines.
Hold on, honest question. You said you would know who the heart wanted. Who did the heart want?
I wasn't really overly invested in either team, but honestly, I was slightly pulling for Danny Hurley.
I feel like I would have been, but the tiebreaker was Wilds being in pain.
I'm not really in pain. We overachieved.
Well, I mean, barely. You're a 2 seed.
But really, that was
This
really,
is showing, though, that you never really
you never, the fact that you are fine after losing a champion, you weren't like this after the Patriots
Right,
lost.
exactly.
You weren't. You actually, that team overachieved. That team was a 2 seed. Yeah.
If
MVP at quarterback.
Won, you'd be going crazy.
But it would be
acting like you were really all
a
about
championship.
UConn.
Today, the Wolverines are champions. How'd they do it? And what does this mean for college basketball? Meanwhile, Wemby hurt. What's the proper level of concern coming from Chris Broussard over the Spurs?
Supercharged Paul George run.
And finally, special April edition of King of the Hill. First April edition. The Butterflies will be in full effect alongside Nick Wright and Chris Broussard. I'm Kevin Wilds. Any surprises on the Hill? I have one.
Yes. Listen, the bottom little bit of the hill, we took some journalistic liberties.
How so?
Well, we had kind of had a prohibition on team players on tankers. We made an exception.
Okay.
It's also a guy who's probably not one of the 28 best, but I've been so impressed.
Definitely not.
So impressed with what he's done with his team losing its superstar that I put him on there. You'll see.
Oh.
It was an interesting.
Yeah,
I like when it has
it has a little.
One guy was at the top a little while ago, and now he's
scored
not even
83
on.
points.
I mean, now he goes from the top of the hill, and now he's not even mentioned. I mean, my goodness.
We start in Indianapolis. Wolverines win their first title in 37 years. Cadeau named most outstanding player of the tournament. Here's Coach Dusty May on Michigan players sacrificing for each other. Take a listen.
When you bring a group this talented together and they decide from the beginning that they're going to do it this way and they never waver and they never change, that's probably the most uncommon thing in athletics now, and it's a tribute to their character, but also those in their circles around them, their coaches, their parents, their mentors. They allowed these guys to give themselves up for the group, and it's never guaranteed, but for these guys to cut down the nets after all they sacrifice is pretty special.
Okay, speaking of sacrifice, everybody scored over 12 points a game. Not everybody, 5 players. Michigan, Arizona, Indiana, 1970 UCLA, 1964 UCLA. Only Arizona did not win the title. So a very egalitarian scoring attack. What's the number one reason Michigan won?
Well, I think their size was a huge factor. Their size and their defense.
Too tall.
Which kind of went together. Now, I said yesterday Illinois was big, but their size wasn't as good as Michigan's was. 7'3", 6'9", 6'9".
Yep.
That's their front line. I mean, most NBA teams don't have that type of front line.
And the 7'3", I'd like an official measurement on that.
You think he's taller?
Yeah, it's like
really?
He
did
played like
tower
7'4".
over Reed.
Yeah.
He towered over Terrence Reed. And I thought going in, Terrence Reed would be able to kind of nullify that size and have a great game. Now, his numbers look okay, 13 points, 14 boards, I think, or reversed. But I thought he was not a factor. He was not able to be a factor at all. I thought Mara did a great job and just took him out of his game. Cadeau, who, I talked to you about, I really like him. I'm thinking, Nick, maybe he's like a nice backup point guard in the NBA. But he played well, made some big plays. And when I said the size and the defense, look at this. 61 of their 69 points for Michigan came in the paint. They only hit 2 threes.
Yep.
In the paint or at the free throw line. And they outscored UConn 61-34 in the paint.
Yeah.
And then UConn would have had to hit a ton of threes. They hit 9, I think, but they would have had to hit
61-34 in the paint plus free throws.
Yeah, plus free throws.
Paint plus free
and
throws.
free throws.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And then they had 6 block shots. So they really intimidated them. But, and I was thinking this as the game was going on, UConn kept it close. And so you're thinking, is Michigan going to panic? Like you were saying, they've been blowing teams out. And with Hurley, could they pull some magic? I don't think they would have won.
I wonder if you're pulling it.
Well, it's probably it, right?
Yes,
they
could
have cut it to 4 here.
Yeah.
With 2 minutes left, they missed that.
Yeah.
And then they come down and hit a 3.
Which,
and
by the way,
the game.
they had hit
and
one.
only their second
Right, they had hit
second
1 3 all
game.
game, and then he makes the
And that
shot.
kid is a freshman.
Yep.
So that was the game, right? It was over once that happened. But I don't think they would have won anyway.
No, but
who knows?
The
Maybe
second
that
half
would've been a
played
shot.
out how at the end of yesterday's show, and again, I do not fancy myself a college basketball expert, and I finished close to last in our bracket competition, so I'm not patting myself on the back. But this game played out how I said I thought it would, which was that Michigan had, I think I said Michigan up 9 like the whole second half. And they were never blowing them out, but they're also after the 17-minute mark of the second half, with 17 minutes left in the second half, UConn never had the ball with the chance to take the lead.
No.
You know what I mean? It was consistent, which is why that one sequence at the end that you're talking about is the one spot where it would have felt like a theft of a victory along the lines of the Duke victory. But at least the Duke victory, they were walking them down.
Yeah, this was
as
no walk
opposed
down.
to just it was
They were
would have just been
outplayed the whole game.
way. So listen. Credit to Danny because he called it and he said it for the reasons Brew outlined. They were the best team all year. Michigan, Arizona, and Duke were record-wise, KenPom rating-wise, all those things had separated themselves from everyone else. And when you listen, Duke for the second straight year blew it in a huge spot. And Michigan and Arizona played each other. And I thought, I thought that was the title game. Now, this game was closer than that game. So that's probably unfair. But they were too big. They were too tough. And the fact that Michigan, and May said it after the game, loses the rebounding battle and makes 2 threes, and their best player was clearly hampered by the injury that we knew he had. Mm-hmm. All of that, and they still controlled the game. And I don't want to say won easily, but won.
Oddly, I think you can say won easily. Pulling for UConn, I texted Danny during the game. I was like, this is the largest 5-point lead of all time. We cannot cut this lead down. I have a video of where I think the game turned. We were in the lead for a while, so I was starting to feel good. This hook that turned into a 4-point play, it was called a flagrant foul.
Yeah.
So they made 2 free throws. All of a sudden, the Wolverines got the ball back. They hit another 2. So we went from being, that's the last time we're up. It took a long time, too. There's a bit of a momentum killer. So that's where I think the game changed.
So when you say the game changed,
You think without that, UConn was going to win?
Happen.
I felt like we were scratching out a victory. The path was not outplay Michigan. It was just to sort of like scratch and get in the mud and steal buckets and get a fast break here or there. So, but this is the issue, that this UConn team was not a powerhouse like Michigan was. The last 2 UConn teams that won the championship combined spent 37 minutes trailing.
Oh, yeah.
This team spent 88 minutes trailing. Obviously, the Duke game, this game was down often. This is big. Now we'll zoom out, big picture. There was a point when UConn just needed a bucket. I'm like, who can get us a bucket? Really, nobody. And then on my social media feed that I follow, Huskies in the NBA, Liam McNeely, who declared, it was freshman of the year in the Big East last year, declared for the draft. I'm like, man, this guy should really stay. But he played high school with Cooper Flagg, and feels like it was time for everybody to go. I think Derek Queen was on the team. Time for everybody to go to the NBA. So now he's in the G League, and he's tearing up the G League. He's playing for the Hornets and making buckets. And I wonder, maybe this is super macro, if he didn't go, would UConn would have won? Would it be better for him, and would it be better for like college basketball if you have a little bit of a continuity for a UConn team where one of the storylines is Caravan's been there for so long?
That's fair, but I mean, the best player, second best player on UConn, Reed, spent his first 2 years at Michigan.
Right.
And
Yeah,
so so here's the other piece, if we're going to talk the UConn side of it just before we get to the bigger picture stuff. I believe, listen, I have an affinity for Rick Pitino, but the results matter, dispositively. I think Danny Hurley is the best active college basketball coach. I think that's
I don't think it's even
correct.
disputable.
I think right now with Coach K having
right.
retired, it's a few years ago now.
Pitino's got a strong
Pitino
argument.
has an argument for that he ranks higher than him historically,
right.
but the best
just that he cooked him this year.
Right, the best contemporary coach. Okay, because fine. I think Hurley's got a great argument for it. I also think he is, at the moment, closer to Jay Wright at Villanova. Oh, my God. Look at what he's done. This is amazing. Hall of Fame caliber. Than John Wooden.
No, John Wooden.
And John Wooden, Coach K, Adolph Rupp, Bob Knight, the guys
Really?
who...
You don't think he could become a Coach K?
No, I think that had they won, he would have been in that 3-title tier, and I think that probably would have been too fast. I don't think he is. I think he is Billy Donovan at Florida. Got there in short order, got into the Final Four. They didn't have the history that UConn did. Won a couple titles. Jay Wright at Villanova. You know what I mean? And turned them into a powerhouse.
That's the same team.
Say it again?
Florida's just the same team. They just ran it back.
Well,
Same with UConn's back-to-back. When UConn won it again, like when UConn won back-to-back, it's a lot of the same guys.
Well, they didn't have Castle.
No, I'm not saying
if you look, see, I disagree, because Wright was similar. Like, those guys would stay 3 and 4 years at Villanova. So he had the same guys. The thing that's impressive with Hurley, first of all, 2 guys from his championship teams. Donovan Clingan, who's looking like, okay, he's going to be a nice, solid role player in the NBA. And starting center maybe. He's, 12 and 11 this year. And Stephon Castle, who's going to be a superstar, but was just a freshman there and played. He wasn't like some freshman of the year player. That's it. Nobody else he has, including this year, looks like they're going to make any type of noise in the NBA.
But doesn't that feel like the modern college basketball? Like does Michigan have guys that you're like, man, that guy's going to be a star?
No. They just got older. You're right. That is college basketball day. But I just think with NIL, with one and dones, with the portal, for him to run, and now he didn't run off 3 and 4.
Right.
That would have been a whole different thing, and that's where the results come in.
That's the point that I'm making.
I mean, if he doesn't win another one for the next 7 years, which is probably more likely than not,
yeah, that's fine.
Then he's still a great coach.
Still an all-time great.
Yeah.
It just felt like being a game away from, it's like, hey, the list of coaches with 3. It's Denny Crum, Coach K, Wooden, Rupp, Knight, and Hurley. Or does Crum only have 2? Maybe it's only a handful.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you have Lou Alcindor.
No,
it was such a difference.
Michigan win their second title in school history. Dusty May's second year, 3
Roy
seasons.
Williams, I left out.
Since the team went 8 and 24, the tail end of Juwan Howard's tenure. How will you remember this Michigan squad?
We got into it a little bit just now, but they are, I remember them somewhat like I remember this Indiana football team that just won the national championship. Now, I give Cignetti more credit. I mean, they were the worst program in Division I, and in 2 years he won a championship. But this team, now obviously Michigan had a strong program, but 2 years ago, before Dusty May got there, they won 8 games. Mm-hmm. Now, 2 years later, they have a championship, and the connection is not just Big Ten, not just quick run to the title, but the portal. I mean, that's how Cignetti did it. And there's a talent to that you have to be able to look at guys at other teams that may not have fulfilled their potential or whatever, like Elliot Cadeau. He was almost run out of North Carolina, and he comes here, and he's the most outstanding player in winning a championship. So there's a talent there. But I just think their 5 starters were all transfers. So they are representative and emblematic of the new modern NCAA basketball.
Yeah, so quickly, here's the top 4 scorers, incoming transfers. Yaxwell, obviously, UAB. Johnson was from Illinois. Marr from UCLA. And Cadeau, as you mentioned, at UNC.
Yeah, so listen.
They had a great free agency up this offseason.
This is where, as the show's resident grandfather,
love it.
I am going to, talk about how it was in the good old days. Because here is, those players, this is a accomplishment that resonates for the rest of their lives. What Dusty May did, it feels like Michigan should have had more success at the top level of college basketball.
Sure.
You know what I mean? The fact that they hadn't won since '89, and most people, if you say they assume the Fab Five was the team that won, but they're not like that. So I'm taking nothing away from those young men and that coach. But I will not remember this Michigan team. I won't. And in the last decade, the only national champion that I vividly remember, the only national champion since Chris Jenkins hit the buzzer beater against North Carolina that I vividly remember is UConn's back-to-back. Because the back-to-back, the second team felt so great and inevitable and just dominating people. Do I have a lot of memories about Florida's team last year? No. Do I have any memories about Baylor's team? No. That is the tax of the modern college basketball paradigm. We don't watch these teams grow together, fail together, try again. There isn't the continuity of it. The NBA star power guys very often are popped early. Right. You know what I mean? DeBance's gone early. Peterson's gone early. Boozer wasn't gone early, it does feel like this is something that, forget 40, like the halcyon days of college basketball before my era.
Because you would see guys grow. Last year they came close. This year they're going to be great.
So I'm not even talking about the 80s college basketball. I just mean something as simple as, I'll use my school. Syracuse wins the title in 2003 based on the power of a superstar freshman, Carmelo Anthony, who was never going to stay the rest of the way. Mm-hmm. And then Jerry McNamara is there for 3 more years, and now he's the head coach. And Akeem Warwick's there for a couple more years. And those guys, you remember them in the title game. Sure. They're teammates. You see them, they get their hearts ripped out by Vermont in the first round. You're like, oh, they had just won the title. That element of college basketball is gone. And what I was promised on the back end of it, Brew, was, Cinderellas are gone. The continuity's gone. What you're going to get, though, is unbelievable basketball. I didn't get that either. I got a tournament full of blowouts. I had
a few, but
Duke, UConn, will show the graphic, Dust. Since the tournament began, the biggest blowouts in the Elite 8 or after, 2 of the last 3 years. So the Cinderellas are gone, and it's not like we're getting, again, Duke UConn was a memorable, unbelievable game.
Yep.
But the other Elite 8 games and Final Four games and National Championship game were not, it didn't feel like a heavyweight, bout. And so that's just a bummer to me.
I think it goes beyond that. I mean, obviously some people still watch a lot of college basketball, but the tournament is not big. This year you had some great freshmen, so you thought, but they all were gone pretty early. The tournament is no longer big because I want to see this great player or that great player or these great teams meet each other. It's big because it's a one-and-done spectacle. Everybody's betting on it and everything. That's why it's big. You people that don't even follow college basketball through the year are into the tournament because of just the format of it, period. You might not know any of the players, But the format of it, and then you got some big names, a Duke, a North Carolina, that's what makes it exciting. It's not like it used to be where you follow certain players for a few years and all that. It's just unfortunate, but it is what it is.
One final graphic to shout out Michigan. Winning the national title in football and basketball in a span of 3 years. Just Michigan, Florida, and Ohio State. So things are going well in Ann Arbor.
Florida did it the same year.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, Florida. One of Florida's was.
So it's kind of cool for Michigan.
No,
I don't want to end it on a negative note.
No, and again, everything changes, and it's fine that everything changes. I feel like college basketball, college football has a lot of the same changes, but what I have found is the games actually do feel more awesome. Like we're getting these sick matchups, and the level of play I think has increased actually because guys. Like the best players at James Madison are now going to bigger college. I think college basketball is in a transitional period where they're figuring out how to best handle the new paradigm.
We saw the number one pick of the NFL do amazing stuff in the national championship game. Wherever Baines going to go top 10, he was doing great stuff. So.
And you got some 23, 24-year-olds, maybe a little older, who aren't good enough to be in the NBA, but they can be great in college.
All right, we're going to head to the NBA, head to Philadelphia, where the Spurs beat the Sixers, but Wemby was injured when he collided with Paul George in the second quarter, maybe exacerbated it a little bit later on in the quarter. He didn't play in the second half, under 16 minutes total, but it does count to the wretched 65-game rule. Now, Shams reporting while we were talking in the block earlier, that the Spurs are not worried about anything major.
Really?
So that's good. So that kind of answers the questions, are you worried about Wemby?
Well, I was, and we'll see, right? But if it's something that will affect him going into the playoffs, then they will not be the threat we thought in the Western Conference. As simple as, he has to be basically 100%, and playing his best for them to have a chance to beat a Denver and to beat an OKC. If he's not, they can't. Obviously we'll throw in the 65 game. You hope he can play one of these last 3 games for them. He's got to play 20 minutes. Now, if it came down that he's just not ready, we don't want to put him out there and risk it. You sit him because the playoffs are more important.
I'm not saying it's weak from the Spurs. I'm saying this rule. It just continues to be a disaster.
But if he's out for the year, they're cooked.
Yeah.
So then I guess they were frauds all along. I just did that to irritate Wilds.
Bet on the Lakers.
Let me say this quickly, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I think Nick long term, and I get this injury was not related to him playing out on the perimeter and stuff, but he's played 3 years. The 1 year he's played 30 minutes or more, he got hurt and only played 46 games. His first year he played 71, played 29 minutes a game. This year he's played most of the year. You hear trainers and doctors talk ad nauseum about how, even LeBron brought it up, playing today is so grueling because you got to guard out to the three-point line. You got to do a lot more moving on defense, and offense is so spread out. They have the Spurs, who are with OKC, the best run organizations in the league. But their doctors have got to figure out, okay, if this is really more grueling for everybody, how grueling is it for a 7'5" guy? Yeah. Because he plays like a guard to a large degree. And do they have to bring him closer to the basket for most of the game, which wouldn't be bad strategically either, but he's out there, playing on the perimeter like all the other players on the team, like Castle and Keldon Johnson and them. And I just wonder, the calf strain earlier in the year, do they need to make him play closer to the basket so he's not out chasing and his
So in other words, my scoot take's not dead yet. No. They
just got to figure it out.
This didn't feel like like you were saying.
This wasn't because of that.
No, but it also, I'm always anxious about injuries that when I see them look like nothing. And so certainly the second, so this is a real collision, but it didn't
look
look
like
he's holding his shoulder, but they're calling it a rib. But that didn't, to me, look like something that we'd be talking about a guy, being knocked out for. And certainly the re-aggravation play really looked like.
Well, I think he was banged. I think because even now he's not moving. He's like lethargic.
Yeah, and so my just general simmering concern about giant athletes, and so that's going to exist with Wemby forever, and you just hope that it doesn't rear its head.
Right.
As far as the 65 game thing goes, because it is. If he misses their next game, it's on the board that by the time they play again, the Spurs are locked into the 2 seed.
Right.
You know what I mean? The Thunder's magic number is 2, and the Thunder are 17.5-point favorites tonight against the corpse of the Lakers. So it's about to be 1. If the Spurs are locked into the 2 seed, then obviously the smart thing for them to do in game 82 of the season is to not play even a slightly banged up Wemby and give him maximum recovery. But the fact that, now he's not going to win MVP either way, but he is going to win Defensive Player of the Year. He is going to make his first All-NBA team. And the fact that the Spurs have to do as part of their math, man.
Well, it's defensive. We've spent so much time on MVP. Defensive Player of the Year is out.
All awards.
That hasn't even crossed my mind.
All awards. Chet's sitting there like, it's ridiculous. And
it's
so
just,
like,
and
so
really
also,
he is one of those guys who hasn't yet gotten his max deal.
Oh, that's a great point.
Supermax.
He hasn't.
This could be a
he needs the
financial,
DPOY to be eligible for it. So, or
the
first team
All-NBA.
All-NBA or All-NBA. So it's just crazy. Like the Spurs, if they're alive for the 1 seed, then they might bring him back at less than 100% on their own because, like, hey, it's worth it. I don't know if they would or not.
I think.
But
don't you think they have?
They've shown they would be conservative,
Yeah,
and they're not getting the 1. They would need OKC to collapse down the stretch. But it is wild, KW, that this is.
It might be one of the worst current rules in sports.
Yeah.
It's flying up the charts. 10 teams hit the field today. Next on FS1, the Fox Sports channel right here on Sirius XM. A lot of just parking lot shots there.
Yeah.
Podcast is rolling, and check out our YouTube page where there's all sorts of original content featuring me in a Yankees uniform. It's just
You
look great.
You do.
It's a great uniform.
Yeah, you absolutely.
Welcome back to First Things First. Coach Mangini back in action along with 10 NFL teams. The rule: if you got a new coach, you can start the offseason a little bit early. That's good. Focus on 2 powerhouses, Ravens and Bills, to start. Do we trust the Bills or the Ravens more under their new leadership?
Well, I know Coach has got to agree with me now on this one, the Ravens. No, look, I'm looking at it this way. I think the Bills are going to be great with Joe Brady offensively. I think they'll be both teams will be contenders, but I have some question, I guess. I'll put it on the board about the Bills' defense.
Yeah.
Because I think Sean McDermott was obviously a very good defensive coach, and they had a ton of injuries, old players, and he always had them as like a top 10-ish defense. So I do question what the defense is going to look like. For the Ravens, I feel like just their defense has been, I know they came on last year, they came on the year before, but it hasn't been that typical Ravens defense we were used to. Mentor was there during some of the glory years as, on the staff with the Ravens. He went to the Chargers, took them from 24th to 1st defensively as their coordinator a couple years ago. So I think defensively he's going to shore things up. Offensively, I just think they got Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. They're going to be good. Lamar last year had a bad year for him. He still had a 103 passer rating, was second in the league in touchdown percentage. Like, he still put up numbers. And we know he wasn't typical Lamar, but they're going to be fine, I think, offensively. And my biggest concern about them has been the lack of discipline, the not being mentally tough in big games, particularly in the playoffs. And I don't know that Mentor can change that, but I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
And maybe, he will. So I feel like the Ravens have a little more, I guess, upside with the new leadership.
And Lamar had those numbers without going to the offseason program. So sky's the limit now, or day 2. And it's the rocket ship at this point. So Buffalo should have an advantage because of the continuity offensively. And Brady kept 12 coaches from the previous staff. So that should give him the edge. He's not learning a new playbook. There's not going to be that adjustment for your best player. So that's a real positive for them. But when you look at how this all took place and the decision in the locker room at the end of the season,
That's right.
the obvious impact and influence that ownership has on the organization, and the questionable impact that they've had over other organizations that they've owned historically. So to me, that's a problem, and that's not going away. So as a new head coach, how is he going to navigate through all of that? Where with Baltimore, it's always been a personnel-driven organization. And since the day one of the organization, I was there the first year, and that group, a lot of those people who were there when we transitioned from the Browns to the Ravens are still there. And a new head coach coming in, it's a little bit of plug and play because things are taken care of, and they're going to be able to just focus on coaching. He's going to be able to focus on coaching. He's been there before. That's a real advantage as well. And I think Steve Bisciotti is an excellent owner. He demands accountability, and he meets with them weekly, but he's not the type of guy that's going to force them to do things because his barber thinks it's a good idea, or some guy he met at the golf club says, hey, you should try this, or the Madden rating says, take this guy and not this guy.
So I don't trust the Bills' leadership at all. I trust the quarterback intensely. So
does that include Brady? You don't trust Brady either?
I don't know why I'm supposed to trust Joe Brady as an NFL head coach. He was a coordinator for Josh Allen. Every coordinator for Josh Allen since he's been Josh Allen, except for the guy who I always forget his name, who lost his mind breaking stuff in the Ken Dorsey.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There is a floor, and even Dorsey had success. There's a floor there. The only part you didn't mention about the hiring cycle was, and then they also really let Josh have a hand in it, which I think is always a little tenuous. And I trust the Ravens organizationally intensely. You mentioned ownership. I think they have a great GM. Jesse Minter was a guy a lot of people, I think, were going to hire or wanted to potentially hire as a head coach, as opposed to the internal, promotion for Joe Brady. The flip side is the Bills are coming off a good season and the Ravens are not. Josh Allen had a really good regular season.
Yeah.
I view Lamar's season not quite as positively as Brew does.
I get it was a
little bit of.
And so
but the numbers were
his passer rating and efficiency numbers were good. I felt week to week, game to game, it was the worst season of his career.
Yes.
Yeah,
and so I don't really trust the Bills organization, but I've never seen him be bad when Josh Allen's
So here's the question.
there after his rookie season.
There's 4 sort of Mount Rushmore QBs in the AFC, if not the whole NFL. Mahomes, Burrow, Lamar, Josh. I saw Joe Burrow miss the playoffs often.
Yeah.
I saw Lamar miss the playoffs. I saw Patrick Mahomes miss the playoffs. We believe in due dates. Do we think that Josh Allen's just going to be in the playoffs exclusively for his whole career? I just saw and I know, I would not think Lamar would miss the playoffs. I would not think that Mahomes would miss the playoffs. And it just happened. So I would think
it's happened to a lot of the greats here and there.
Almost all of
unless they think it's Brady-esque. And I know we got the Dolphins and the Jets, but so maybe those are easy dubs. But the Patriots are there. It's
no.
Set up
I could see. Listen, what certainly the Bills can't handle is Josh missing even a small stretch of time. Like Lamar. Listen, Lamar missed time last year, and that is what the Ravens already were. They had started the season poorly. It seemed like it was always going to maybe be a bad year. But Josh also does seem pretty indestructible.
Buffalo had a huge drought before McDermott got there, and people criticize him as being micromanaging and maybe too much of a disciplinarian, but you can go the other way pretty quickly too. And who knows how Josh Allen's gonna respond with all this sort of new authority that he has in the organization.
Also, less sleep. Congrats to Josh.
It's
He and his
huge.
wife just had the baby.
Oh.
That is awesome, and I'm very happy for them. I think that's a real thing that we always disregard when it comes to
the human
quarterback.
element?
The human element of especially first-time father, like new parent. I think it hit Mahomes when he first had his, I think there is just a real element of that, the amount of time, hours, and energy of work it takes to be one of those quarterbacks, combined with no matter what your job is, the element of having an infant newborn in the house. I think that's a real thing.
Your EQ, though, goes off the charts.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Take a look at all the teams with new coaches. 10 new coaches in all. We talked about Bills and Ravens, but also Browns, Cardinals, Dolphins, Falcons, Giants, of course, Raiders, Ravens we already talked about. Mike McCarthy's back.
What a diverse group.
And the Titans with Robert Saleh. So which team with a new coach is most likely to surprise the league? Twist, good or bad?
Oh, good or bad?
Yeah.
You want to
What's
go,
a
Coach?
surprise?
I
I'll go
love
first.
talking
I
about
twisted it up.
hired coaches.
Well, these are hired
Yeah,
coaches,
good
so that's a positive thing. I'm going to go with Kevin Stefanski. And with the Atlanta Falcons, so they finished 8-9. The whole division, the top 3 teams in the division were 8-9, so they're not devoid of talent. They were competitive in that division last year, even though they ended up missing the playoffs. They actually, I would say the flip side, they've got a lot of talent. And in terms of Tua coming into the mix, of all the guys that kind of transition to new places, I think Tua's got the best chance to actually impact an organization of all these quarterbacks that have kind of shifted homes or in the offseason. And I would say that, 2-time Coach of the Year in Cleveland in that division is a significant accomplishment and shouldn't be taken lightly. So, plus I've got Bill Callahan, is one of my favorites.
How could it go wrong?
I couldn't miss an opportunity there. So when you add all those things in the mix, I think they have a real chance to win the division and surprise a lot of people.
Look, I do think Stefanski's a good coach. The question is, does he have a quarterback? And he might, but does he? I think that's the question there. I'm going to go with the Giants. Because even though I think it was time to move on from Harbaugh in Baltimore, for the Giants, I think he's just what they need. He'll bring stability. He'll bring a winning culture, all of that. And they got talent.
Do you think that would be a surprise, though, Brew? You know what I mean?
Because in that, I think a lot, obviously,
But they
people
make
are
the
looking
playoffs?
at Philadelphia.
But are you talking about them making the playoffs?
I'm saying I think they will have a chance. I think they'll be in the playoffs.
That would be a surprise.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if Philly takes, which could take a step back, Dallas, we'll see. That division, I think the Giants are in play for that division. And then they're going to get, we'll see how they strengthen. The offensive line is pretty good. We'll see if he's not Lamar Jackson. But, there's he's a runner, he's athletic. There's some similarities there. And he's got a receiver, too.
It seems like that is.
And he brought in some, Isaiah Likely, some of his guys.
Listen, and he brings credibility. Harbaugh is obviously a very good NFL head coach and brings stability and credibility to the organization. It is very interesting going to see how the Dexter Lawrence trade request lands, where, who handles that? Does Shane or Harbaugh handle it, and how do they handle it? But I think their projected win total's 7.5. So people are
not bad.
8.5.
8.5 would be wild.
Check.
No way.
Hubs, check for me real quick. I remember seeing
8.5?
doing it on my podcast, and I was 7.5 is the number.
I'm taking over on that.
So that's what I'm saying. It seems like that's a trendy pick for the team. This is maybe going to sound like I don't want to say a contradiction, but goes in the face of what I said in the last segment. Because I think most of these teams are going to do about how people expect. I don't think there's going to be a huge surprise. But if one of these teams has a huge surprise and it's due to coaching change, I think it would be a negative surprise, and I think it would be the Bills. I think I think Josh Allen gives you a floor, and I think the Patriots are in for a bit of a regression to the schedule mean and a few things next year. Sorry, KW.
Better team, but worse record.
There you
okay.
go. Tale as old as time. And so I think the Bills, you can just almost pencil them in every year for at least 11 wins. But I do see a scenario where that defense, which I don't think has had a ton of talent the last few years, falls off a cliff.
Agreed.
If Josh isn't awesome from the very beginning. New head coach, and a new head coach who seems to be on a very different timeline than the GM. The GM's seat is warming even though he's got a promotion. The head coach is like, this isn't year 10. This is year 1 of the Joe Brady year. Like that.
But if they have a bad year, I would think Brady could be in trouble.
Well, starts his job.
Quarterback.
I'm just saying.
He's not in trouble. The quarterback picked you.
I think it depends on if anybody's crying in the locker room.
Yeah,
that's right. Quickly before we go, last year, Vrabel, Ben Johnson, sophomore QBs, overachieve. We know you're a Dayball guy. Robert Saleh on his second team. Cam Ward. Any heartbeat for my Titans? New logo.
It's faint.
But that same thing would apply though to Jackson Dart probably more accurately. Sophomore quarterback with an established head coach.
Yeah.
The Giants.
But I like Dayball though.
The problem with the Titans is the lack of talent.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how much of a leap that quarterback can take.
And how much they miss Bill Callahan.
Yeah,
they didn't miss Bill Callahan at all. I got tricked last year.
It's going to be a lot.
If we knew more about our sleep, what would we do differently? Would we go to bed at a consistent time or take steps to reduce interruptions to our sleep? With Sleep Score, Apple Watch measures your bedtime consistency, interruptions, and sleep duration. Then, every morning it combines these factors into an easy-to-understand score from 1 to 100. So you'll know how to take the quality of your sleep from okay to very high. Know your sleep score with Apple Watch. iPhone 11 or later required.
Lakers host the Thunder tonight. That's going to be ugly. LeBron off of a 39-15 point performance in a loss to the Mavs. He reminded a courtside fan that he still got it. Take a listen.
Can
Don't let me bounce for you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Don't let me bounce for you, though.
Put me on the shelf, you know?
Your reaction. If you couldn't see it, it was almost better viewed on your phone. He's laughing at the end when he says they put me on the shelf. But I mean, both things are true. I can still do it, and they changed his role. Now, he accepted it, and it's what they needed to do.
Did they talk to him, though? That's the big question. Did he just decide this is the best way for me to play? I don't know that JJ, I don't know. But I don't know that J.J. Redick went to him and said, you know, LeBron, we need you to be the third. I think LeBron just deferred on his own.
Maybe. And so, but it is, I don't know if we have this graphic or not. Brew was one of the only people on TV yesterday that made a point to say how good LeBron's game was in that. Awesome. And I thought it was an awesome game. I didn't realize how rare it was. 30 15 assists, games in the NBA this year. That's the list. LeBron in his first game back from, exile.
Being put on the shelf.
Yeah, Joker twice and Shea once. And so it just speaks to, and again, they lost to the Mavs. It wasn't a good game for the team. But he can still, as an offensive engine, get to a level. A lot of guys in this league can't, even in the year 23 and at age 41. And so my reaction was similar to yesterday's, which is, I just keep thinking about teams next year where he could have that role and they would really compete. And so I'll let you go because there's one team that is moving to the top of my list.
Ooh. Oh, wow. He even showed a little handle that he doesn't often show. I don't know if you guys saw that in that game. He was a little nice with his handle.
What's he doing, bro? Show it again. Do it again.
But no, he can't do this. Nobody does 30-15 regularly, but he can't do this regularly. And here's the deal. He knows it.
Well, sure.
Because if he didn't know it, he wouldn't defer to Luka Doncic, let alone Austin Reeves, let alone Luka Doncic. He would not. They would have to defer to him if he felt he was still kind of the same LeBron James. So I think he's joking, having fun. Now he can do it occasionally, obviously, but 82 games, he knows he's not that same guy. But I think he was having fun. I think he can do more than he was doing for the Lakers over the past month and a half. But again, that's part of Nick knows how much I love and respect Luka's game, but that's part of it is that when somebody's that ball dominant, other guys have to back
How
up
much do
and
you
can't be
love
themselves.
and respect?
Well, I think respect more than love.
Well, his ability.
Yeah.
He is like I said, he's.
And that's a Nick specific thing.
No,
I don't know if the audience.
the audience don't.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean,
But
we're on.
Nick knows I nicknamed him
Just-
Luka Legend.
Yeah.
You're the only one.
And I do think I mean, he's a phenomenal player
You like his
individually,
game?
but I don't like his style of play. But I think he should adjust it. I just don't think that's going to win championships.
Okay.
And I think it takes away from your teammates.
I agree.
As is evidenced by LeBron James and Jalen Brunson.
I totally, yeah.
I'm just saying,
you're not saying.
But he's
but
a
you love and
phenomenal-
respect
no,
his
he's a
game.
phenomenal
Respects
player.
his talent
Yeah, he's an awesome
and his
player.
spot as
And
a
production,
player.
yeah.
He
I
doesn't
don't take anything away
necessarily
from that.
like his style. I think
I
that's the
think
way
he
to
did-
put it.
Can you win
I
like
don't think
that?
it's the best
I
way.
think they can, but
I mean,
can
you
we
can
stay
win
on-
to a certain level, but no, we haven't seen people win championships.
Yeah, and I think Luka will be the first. I think Luka will win a championship that way.
I couldn't resist.
But
teams you want LeBron to go to.
Listen, I went and reread the McMenamin Bontemps article from 8 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really noteworthy how they included in the details they gave on Denver.
I love this.
About his relationship with the owner, Josh Kroenke, that I had forgotten. And then I realized it actually Saturday watching Spurs Nuggets. Jared Dudley is on that coaching staff. And as far as a team's ability to acquire LeBron and not ask him to play for the minimum, it'd have to be a sign and trade situation, the fact that the Nuggets are anticipating losing Peyton Watson, who is a perfect fit for the Lakers as far as defensive wing. You know what I mean? That if both teams feel like we're going to lose LeBron for nothing, lose Peyton Watson for nothing, trade with each other, both guys get paid, all of that where LeBron, I think, would be... Listen, Jokic is their offense, but it's weird because he's a center. I know people call him a point center, but he's not regularly... He touches it every possession, but he's not like bringing it up the court.
And he moves it. He's not dribbling like that.
And I just think that is... I don't think they could win a title in Golden State. I think New York, it would take a great LeBron season. And I don't know at age 24, age 42 and you're 24, if a great LeBron season
Do you think it would have to take a great... Well, let's just say because they wouldn't be the favorites against a Western team.
That's
what
what
if
I'm
they got
saying.
out of the East?
I just think
I don't
they
know if
would
you'd
be...
have to
I
be-
think it would... Let me put it like this. I think it would take a great LeBron James finals. I think that they could get to the East, they could get to the finals without it's a big ask. Denver to me is increasingly fascinating.
I love this with all of my heart.
And
it's also close to LA.
oh yeah.
But I do think the geographic difference of
Yes.
my house is in LA, my business in LA, New York to LA is.
It'd be interesting. That'd be really,
I
really interesting.
love that. Live from New York, it's a show that's done with the 65 game rule. And I don't think I'm going to stop talking about it.
Totally done with it. Totally done with it. Every day I say this. Today, Adam should end that rule. Make a unilateral.
I don't It's very odd to me that he won't just do that.
Well, he doubled down, remember, a couple weeks ago.
Maybe he's waiting to the end of the season. That's where I'm holding out hope.
I don't
it's
think
bad.
just be like, guys, sorry, transposition error. That 5 is supposed to be a 2. It's a 62 game rule.
Oh, yeah.
All the Cade, Luka, Wemby, all these guys are fine.
I
They're
just
all
think they
eligible.
should
82,
eliminate it,
62.
period. And
I
trust
know.
the voters.
I like that too.
Trust the voters.
Second hour, first things first today, more Giannis drama. A new article by Shams outlines more frustrations between the Bucks and Giannis. Meanwhile, Mendoza in Vegas. Is he a no-doubt franchise quarterback? Coach Mangini is here to discuss. But right now, it's time for the friendliest segment in all of sports, our first April edition of King of the Hill. And I heard you took some creative liberties with the Hill.
I did. So again, we haven't done one in a couple weeks because last week we were off on Tuesday for soccer. This Tuesday I was supposed to be off because remember, I was invited to watch that Masters practice round at Augusta that we talked about. However,
Did you win that, or you were just randomly invited?
no, a viewer invited me, and I was going to go. However, Wilds has bullied me so much about missing a day here and there. I had to
play cards here.
Yeah,
and so because of that,
I thought it was going to be a charity event or something.
No, it was
but
the
you were
Masters
just going
practice
to
round.
go to the Masters
so,
practice.
Yeah, I mean, it wants bucket list thing.
Can I say that?
It would be good for the show.
No,
but I'm here.
Going to the practice round is not on your bucket list.
It's a small bucket.
No.
Drop in the bucket.
You could dive
doesn't
back.
matter.
But I went to the Masters.
What's better for the show is you're here.
Exactly. Doing King of the Hill. All right, let's show who fell off the hill. Bam.
The guy scored 100 points.
83.
He was atop the hill a few weeks ago.
He wasn't.
He was too high a few weeks ago. Now he's too low. Wow.
I don't think he ever made it to the top.
No, I think he deserved to be.
He was so close.
No, he's on the fourth row.
Fox
has
had some rough crunch time stuff. Nothing against Evan Mobley. We had to make room. Some sad additions to injured and eligible. Luka, Austin Reeves, and Cade all on injured and eligible. Well, hopefully, we know Cade will be back. I'm still holding out hope. Luka comes back. Seems like Austin's the longest shot. Giannis, Halliburton, AD, Butler, Kyrie not coming back. But that does open up. And by the way, you'll notice someone who was on that list for the last month no longer. Steph Curry. Where will he be on the hill now that he's back? Bottom row of the hill. Cat drops a bit. Paolo, Chet, and Deni Avdija stay where they are. Some new additions.
It's time to start talking Hawks.
Nickeil Alexander-Walker. When you win, what have the Hawks won? 23 of 27, something insane.
Been balling,
he's their second best player. He's been balling. He gets on there. Dennis Jenkins.
Wait, what?
Dennis Jenkins.
Love it.
Listen,
love it.
Bro, the
I like
Pistons
what the young
are
kids
staying
doing,
afloat. They have found a second ball or a second initiator with Cade out. He's going to matter in the playoffs now. It feels like, Cade maybe doesn't have to play coming off a collapsed
So hold on. You're saying if you lose your best player, you can still stay afloat?
As long as you don't lose your best player and another top 3 player. Yeah.
What about Isaiah Stewart? Is he totally healthy?
Did they lose Cade and Jalen
muscle.
Duren? You find me any team in the league, KW. It's so funny because I was going to apologize. When we got to something on here, I was going to apologize for what I said yesterday, but I take back my apology because I thought I saw started yesterday's show off on a bad note. So I took a shot at KW for something he said in a goofy walk-in video. However, I now retract it.
The walk-in video is not on the record.
It's not on the record. Tell Gianna her job doesn't matter. But now I take it all back. You find any team in the league lose their top 2 leading scorers going into the playoffs and be fine. And I guess those 2019 Warriors were frauds too. They lost the Raptors without KD and Steph. Were they ever real contenders? Dennis Jenkins on the hill and Cooper Flag. The team stinks. He's scored 96 points in the last 2 games. I'm putting him on the hill. I think that's okay, right? It's fair.
Flag's okay.
6th row. So here's the deal. Ant was out, then he came back, didn't look like himself. He's out again. Now I'm reading things about runner's knee.
That can't be good.
I don't like that. They're talking about it. It's like, it's the same thing that Steph was dealing with. Steph was out for more than a month.
I don't like this at all.
I don't like it at all.
Minnesota,
Couple Sixers. Man, don't let the Sixers get hot now.
True.
Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, Stephon Castle, Brew. He might make one of your All-NBA teams.
Well, with the way guys
I think
becoming
he might
ineligible.
Stephon Castle.
He's
their second best defender and arguably their second best offensive player, maybe third best offensive player.
He leads them in assists.
Yeah, and so he's a legitimate blue chipper, coming out of college, and he's living up to that. When he won Rookie of the Year, it was kind of like, down rookie class. Stephon Castle won by default. He's more than that. LaMelo Ball.
Let's go.
Shout out James Harden drops a bit. Top 15. Shout out the old guys. Steph came back, scored 29, almost hit the game winner.
26 minutes.
Right, and looked awesome. We just talked about LeBron being one of 3 guys now this year with a 30 and 15. He had dropped because there wasn't the statistical, even though they were winning, his numbers were not. And then the moment it's all on him again, he puts up those numbers. Granted, in the loss, he moves up. Devin Booker, no fault of his own, drops just a tiny bit. Brunson stays where he is. Jalen Johnson, he's got to be on All-NBA. He's got to be. And, the Hawks are while it's not time to talk about them, they're the 5 seed.
You got 2 Hawks on here.
Yeah.
Nick likes the Hawks.
Time to start talking about the Hawks.
No, top 10.
It is.
This is not just like a patronizing, good job coming back, Jason Tatum ranking. Jason Tatum, over the last 2 weeks, 25, 12, and 8.
The rebounds are crazy.
25 a game, 12 rebounds, 8 assists, while all of a sudden shooting 39% from 3. Remember, right when he came back, that was the biggest problem. Tatum's been awesome. And again, he's not 100% Jason Tatum yet, but if they get that level of production in the playoffs, they can beat anybody. Jamal Murray, I think, Brew, this is the best season of his career.
Yeah.
And he's been
Not the best run, but the best season.
correct. The best start to finish season of his career. He moves up. Donovan moves up just a bit. Jalen Duren stays where he is. Again, I think the Pistons would be in trouble if they lost Cade and Jalen Duren. Top 6. Kawhi, who, if Luka doesn't win his appeal, might end up being first team All-NBA. Certainly is going to be second team All-NBA. Jaylen Brown, he missed a game, but since we did the Hill last, he's averaging 31 a game, which is not far off his season-long numbers. And KD, Rockets won 6 in a row, banged on KD. We're like, you ruined the locker room by telling all your teammates they suck.
Maybe they had a meeting.
Who knows what happened?
Because it's
But KD, of all the super old guys in the league, Steph, LeBron, Durant, he has, he's the lowest of those guys historically. He's also the youngest of them. He's also having the best season of those 3 guys. Shout out KD. Top 3, no change there. Shea and Wemby. I'm assuming Wemby's obviously not injured and eligible. I'm assuming he's going to be fine. Wemby, is having the best, prior to last night, offensive run of his career over the last, since he started, really talking about how offense isn't, is more than points. It's like, I should probably score more points. And still, I think one of the more underrated Wemby things, the only thing we don't know about is what a dominating rebounder he is. And
lately.
Yeah, it's just certainly as of late. Shea is Shea. And then back atop the hill, the best player in the league. I think it's pretty obvious he's the best player in the league. And I think he is reminding everybody there are big portions of NBA history where the math on, hey, who's going to win the title, came down to who's the best player in the league. Joker's at least trying to make the argument, don't forget about my team, which at this point nobody is. They are finally back in the 3 spot for the first time in months. The Denver Nuggets and Nikola Jokic.
Joker last night, just quickly, 13 assists, 5 steals, 2 blocks.
Go ahead. What?
20 ass stocks.
Wow. 20 ass stocks.
It's a
Well,
great
he's
game.
high on ass stocks.
He's just crushing.
Because he leads the league
20,
in assists.
yeah.
He's going to be high on ass stocks.
Yeah.
All right.
Good one.
The Hill was interesting, Nick.
Thanks.
I think Durant's too high.
Okay.
What's interesting about this NBA now, these old guys, LeBron, Steph, Durant, they still are basically putting up their same
Their
numbers.
career numbers.
Right, they're not, and I think he could if but they're not really affecting winning like that. But they can still put up their career numbers, if not better in some cases. So it's kind of odd. But I'm moving Durant down. If Anthony Edwards is eligible, I was thinking maybe he wouldn't even be eligible. If he's eligible, I think he's at least 4th row. 4th row or no lower than that, and I'd put him ahead of Durant for sure. I'd put Donovan Mitchell ahead of Durant. So I think Durant is definitely too high. And then little bonus take. I love what the kid is doing. He's made himself some money.
Don't do it.
No, don't. It's nice.
This is not charity. It's the best 28 guys in the league.
No, it's not.
And I'm sorry, Dennis Jenkins is not one of the best.
It's not.
Is he one of the best 28 guys?
It's not best 28 guys in the league.
What is it?
It moves around.
It's just a lot of fun. Let's just throw out a bunch of names.
Where there's a bunch of grass and a crown.
I want to give that guy a little love.
Otherwise, it doesn't move.
I would put the other two guys from your Charlotte Hornets, Brandon Miller, their leading scorer, and Con Knipple ahead of Dennis Jenkins.
Well, he does make some good points.
I mean, I'm just saying, what is the hill? What is the hill?
It is a combination of the best players alive plus the best seasons plus the most impactful last 2 weeks or weeks since we last did the
hot
hill
list.
It's a little bit of that.
USA Today.
It's a little bit of that.
It has flames.
And Dennis Jenkins all of a sudden bursting onto the scene and keeping the Pistons locked into that 1 seed, making other teams feel like, oh man, when we play the Pistons in the playoffs, when Cade goes and takes a rest, we're going to have to deal with somebody.
It's a cute
That's
story.
all noteworthy.
It's a cute story, but
it's
the
bottom
hill,
row.
And then, as far as Anthony Edwards goes, here's the problem. He just came back from his injury. And then he he missed another game.
Right.
But because of that, he's not injured and eligible. But what's also true is Anthony Edwards, since the last hill 2 weeks ago, has played 2 games. And in those 2 games, has averaged 12.5 points on 35% from the field because he's not himself. So listen, do I think Anthony Edwards is obviously a top 10 player in the league? Obviously. But do I think this current version of Anthony Edwards is better right now than Jalen Brunson or those guys ahead of him? I don't. Just because he's not himself. So I don't, I will admit the Ant ranking in a snapshot of it, it's like, no, I don't think he's outside of the top 15. But he's not himself.
They're in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
They're in trouble.
One of the
and
many
maybe
teams
even they're
that
in
if
trouble, period, because he...
It's weird how the NBA's changed. It's almost like if your best player's not around, you could be in trouble, KW.
You know what? Rockets.
Okay.
6 in a row.
Uh-huh.
KD's playing great. Guess who else is playing great?
Şengün.
Şengün is back.
You
Won
want
the
him
game.
to take Dennis
You know
Jenkins'
what? I was going to say, call me crazy. I think he's better than Dennis. Call me crazy.
Had this kind of ugly game winner, but it counts. During their 6-game win streak, defense is Ime's really calling card, but their offense has gotten even better. It was 115 before this win streak. Right now it's 128, shooting 56%. 3-point percentage is nuts. That's too much. So that should come back down to earth.
So that's when KD and Şengün are together.
Yes. Yes, just went, but still, that's a lot
It should be that.
And then Şengün's highest field goal percentage since the start of March. I just do April.
So you're saying he's gearing up for the playoffs?
He's getting a little bit closer to the basket. Ime doesn't want him shooting threes, so he's getting some easy buckets. So hopefully in the playoffs he can shine. Maybe we're sleeping on the Rockets a little bit. Maybe the Rockets pendulum needs to swing back to where it belongs, does the team hate each other? Maybe.
Listen, all of a sudden the Rockets went from the team everyone wants to play in the West to the team that is probably going to get to play the team everyone wants to play in the West, the Lakers. You understand what I mean?
Yep.
Like the Rockets went from the team.
It's going to be Denver, Minnesota.
That's what it looks
3-6,
like.
yeah.
And the Houston, LA 4-5. And I think also if you're Denver, you're a little bummed.
About Minnesota?
Yeah, if Ant's
healthy,
back,
sure.
it's like,
Yeah.
come
If he's
on.
healthy,
Like,
you
we
definitely-
moved all the way to the 3, and now we're playing one of the only teams that's beaten us in the
I agree with
playoffs. But, yeah, I mean, I do think the Rockets were the team everyone wanted, and now they are going to get the team everyone wants in the Lakers. So, Şengün is making a strong case to be on the final regular season hill.
Wow.
Next week. And the final regular season Hill Brew.
We're done with the Hill already?
Regular season. The final regular season Hill Brew is a look at the regular season in its totality.
As a whole, yeah.
In its whole. It's not about...
Şengün has got to be on there, especially with all the injury exceptions.
Guys,
Şengün is nice.
Does the Hill operate on the 65-game rule? It shouldn't. We'll be
doesn't.
very upset. Thank goodness.
The Hill does not operate on the 65-game rule. And in the final regular season Hill, even if you are currently injured, you are eligible.
Really?
Well, yeah, so like Cade Cunningham will be on there.
Okay.
Luka will be on there for the
Halliburton's
final
gonna be on
regular.
there?
No,
Kinda be like
you have to
your-
have played this year.
Your
Okay.
all-NBA team plus.
See,
Right?
there you go. Since I don't have a vote, I have to do it in hill form.
Giannis
That's exactly right.
might be done with the Bucks, believe it or not. That's next on First Things First.
So Giannis will be eligible. Where will he be on it?
That article.
Oh, really?
was-
That's going to be interesting.
Saturday night is baseball night in America on Fox.
Red Sox better.
Wow.
Put a helmet
I
on.
hope you're getting Giants Orioles.
No, you're getting Red Sox Cardinals and Roman Anthony as the Red Sox. Look, it's early. Is it the worst record in Red Sox history at 2-8? Yes. But
It's getting
the
late
turnaround-
early.
Yeah.
Yes, literally. I
Yeah.
can't believe it's like, you know what?
They were your World Series pick.
We have great. We're
mortifying.
supposed to have great pitching. We don't. Shams outlining months of frustrations around Giannis' future in a new article headlined "Inside the Fractured Relationship Between Giannis and the Bucks." Highlights: Wolves, Heat, Warriors leading suitors didn't happen. Bucks weren't happy with any deal. Other teams were upset. Now we're in the midst of shutting Giannis down and the controversy there, which we learned cost Giannis a Nike bonus for not playing in enough games. The article ends with a source close to the team saying, quote, "This is as toxic of a team situation as any in the league." Your reaction, bro?
It's just ridiculous. I mean, look, at this point, Giannis, he's worried about the public response to him demanding a trade. Nobody, at this point, everybody would be like, yeah, you should demand a trade. So just come out, and it's best for the organization too. The organization could come out and say, we have mutually agreed with Giannis that it's time to trade him. Or he can come out and say, and it doesn't have to be acrimonious. Say, look, I've loved my time here. I was grateful that I could bring a championship to the fans of Milwaukee. I love these fans. This has been home to me. It's just time to move on. My goodness, like this is ridiculous. And look, I think the trade, and I've said this before, the trade is to Houston. Assuming they don't go on some deep run to the finals or whatever. Trade is to Houston. If I could get Şengün and Reed Shepherd and some picks for Giannis, man, I think that can grow into something pretty good in the Eastern Conference. And then if I'm Houston, I got to win now because of Kevin Durant. I got Giannis. I still would have Jabari Smith. Amin Thompson. Fred VanVleet will be back next year. Like, that's a team that could contend in the West.
I like that.
It's simple. That should be. I'd love to see him go to Golden State. I just don't know that that's possible.
And
Or
I don't think
Minnesota
Golden
or something.
State would contend for a championship.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
I guess you don't know if Steph will be healthy.
well, and because you're gonna have to give up something for Giannis, so it would be Steph and Giannis against
Jimmy Butler. I guess you have to throw.
I mean, I don't know if you'd be trading Jimmy Butler or Draymond. I also think that Jimmy Butler at 36, coming off a bad knee, like, you know, those.
No, that wouldn't
I'm already worried about that to begin with, and so. Two takeaways. One minor takeaway. About Giannis's frustration about not playing down the stretch. It's millions of dollars from Nike, and one of his brothers threw an alley-oop to the other one last night. And he was, you know, I do think that there is that element of, man, this is... If this is how my time in Milwaukee is ending, I'd like it to end on the court with my brothers. Like that, and they signed again, no disrespect to his brothers. His brothers are writing the Antetokounmpo family wave there, which is like that. There's a long history of that in the NBA, so that's fine. So I understand his frustration financially and personally in that regard. But my other takeaway is, I now no longer think Milwaukee is going to care a ton about where he wants to go.
Oh.
Because of all this
it seems, first of all, ever since Haslam bought into the Bucks, it seems like there's, not necessarily a defined captain of the ship. That's a different article people can read from a couple months back. And I think that it seems like the two sides are at enough odds that it will truly be best deal available. Now, I think a team would only be willing to give Milwaukee the best deal if Giannis was okay with going there because, you only want to sign him or trade for him. He's going to sign the extension. But those are my takeaways. And the other takeaway is newly minted Hall of Famer Doc Rivers is going to be a broadcaster again in short order. I'm not trying to be a jerk. It seems like his time in Milwaukee was a disaster from day one.
Adrian Griffin, they were actually,
what were they, 40 and 13? Or something.
It was something like 35 and 13.
Or something great. Yeah. They had a good record. They fired him, and Doc's under 500.
Yeah.
And you had one of the telling things about the article, and then was Doc gave some impassioned team speech that did not go over well, and they write in the article, according to 6 people in the room. I don't know how many people were in the room, but it would sound like about half of them then told people this does not
But he was
work.
saying like check my resume.
Yeah, he's like, listen.
Check my stats.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in the Hall of Fame and I did win.
I'm one of the top 15 coaches ever.
Yeah.
I mean, he is.
I'll
throw this in too, because I've even seen ex-players criticize Giannis for wanting to play. Yeah, you understand what they're doing. They don't want to get you hurt for the trade or get the best lottery pick. I'm not gonna kill a guy who wants, in this day and age where they had to put in the 65 game
I agree with you 100%.
For load management, right? I'm not going to kill a guy for wanting to play because here's the thing. I miss me with all that, we're trying to get the best lottery pick or the game. We're out of it, so we don't want to get him hurt. Are you giving refunds to your fans?
Yeah.
Are you even making that an option? No. So then you send out your best. If your best player wants to play, unless you're giving the fans refunds.
I told you what I think.
What?
He should put on his uniform and start warming up. And what is going to happen? Let's just tell me what's going to happen. I'm Giannis.
It would be interesting to see what Doc
I'm going to start.
did.
I'm going to start warming up on the court, and the fans are going to be there. I'm going to sign autographs, and then when it's time for the starting 5 to go out, I will be standing on
But
the
if
court.
they don't list you, I can't remember all the rules, but they have to list you as
an
eligible
active
to
player.
play. Yeah.
Well, then I'm going to
if
be.
they don't list you, then what?
Security's going to pull Giannis out.
I would take it to let's see it play out. But I'm not. What I'm not going to do is sit there in street clothes and complain. And just be like, this is not fair. You're the most powerful person in the organization.
Here's the thing, though, but he's clearly not.
But he is. The power is with the fans and the organization. So you can flip the leverage back on management by showing up in your uniform.
I thought I was the guy with the union leader father. Look at
he should do it. Otherwise, I just think it's unfair for everything he's given to the Milwaukee, to the organization. The fact that his brothers are there, suit up, man. Suit up and check yourself into the game. Now, you don't even have to start.
Again, they'd have to put him on the active.
Put me on the active list.
But if they don't, you still suit up.
It's going to be embarrassing for you. If I will be in a full sweat, warming up, and people are going crazy, then I'm going to sit there. And what do you think people are going to be chanting? They're chanting for Taco Fall in Boston. You think they're going to chant for Giannis?
Do we have a little more time here, or do we have to move on?
Denver,
just real quick. If not Houston, Brew, there's not a ton of teams that make a ton of sense and have
the stuff,
a good trades. Because we talked a year ago, San Antonio, maybe. But now San Antonio's like, no, we are not. We're keeping our assets, keeping our young players, keeping our flexibility. I remember right before the trade deadline when it looked like OKC all of a sudden was on shaky ground. Now, if OKC gets clipped,
Denver beats them.
Right, and it'd have to probably be before the conference finals, which Denver probably wouldn't play them there. But if somehow OKC has a disastrous playoff run, maybe they're like, why not? But if OKC and San Antonio are out, the Lakers don't have good assets. The Warriors, I don't feel, have good assets.
Minnesota.
Right, Minnesota is, and then Cleveland's in this second apron hell. The Knicks traded their picks. Miami trades for them. They're just Milwaukee, South Beach.
Right.
The team won't be any good.
Sixers offered VJ
honestly,
Edgecombe.
it's the teams that I mentioned
Milwaukee.
Atlanta.
Atlanta
Would work, and Atlanta always would work, particularly depending on what that Pelicans pick turns into. But I don't know if that's where he wants to go. It's not as, and because of his age and now his injury history, there's not as many teams that are willing to give up everything.
Denver has won 9 games in a row, back-to-back games in overtime. Joker had 35, 14, 13. 5 steals, 2 blocks. Aaron Gordon hits a corner 3 to seal the win. Western Conference standings, a little bit of a shakeup. Thunder, Spurs are 1 and 2, then Denver, then the Lakers, who could fall behind the Rockets after they lose to the Thunder tonight.
They couldn't fall behind tonight, but they could eventually fall.
Got you. So, should Spurs be worried about Denver?
Yeah, I mean, that'll be a great series. I said after the game Sunday, I want to see 7 of these. I mean, Jokic and Wemby going at it would be phenomenal. I would rather, even if the Lakers, let's say they survive round 1 and get healthy. I guess I can expand that. If I'm the Spurs, Denver's the last team I want to see. They're not going to see OKC in the second round. Denver's the last team I want to see in the second round. I'd rather see the Lakers. I'd rather see Minnesota or Houston.
Yes.
Any of them. Now, I do think the Spurs could win that series. I think it depends on how much, as Wemby said, we learned from this game. He's young. He's saying that. But that's what it would depend on, because I think it would be a hard-fought series. I think it probably would go 7. Certainly 6. I think it'd be tight. But that experience of the Nuggets, I think, would be tough. And you brought up the stats. And Jokic has put up huge numbers against Wemby. Wemby's put up big numbers too. He's 25, 15 boards, and 4 blocks against the Nuggets in his career. So I think it'd be a historic matchup.
Some people call it Godzilla versus Mothra. Some people are.
It'd be tough though. It'd be a great
And I just add the wrinkle of my small concern. Wemby, 29 minutes a game, never played in the playoffs. 35 minutes a game, playoff intensity. Oh, yeah, and altitude for half the series.
Yeah.
Like that, that's so. If the Nuggets are as presently constituted, meaning I don't even need Peyton Watson back. I think that he'd be great to have back. I don't want to sound disrespectful, but I'm saying I'm not even incorporating him coming back. But as long as the guys, their starting 5 as of now is as healthy as they are right now going into that series, I would pick the Nuggets. And I think that the biggest winner of the Nuggets getting to the 3 line, I believe, actually is OKC. If OKC's like, okay, so we're only gonna have to beat one of Denver or San Antonio to get to the finals, and we're going to have, Denton, and it's so funny. Denver also is probably like, and our big reward for getting to the 3 line is Minnesota, which is not a great reward for them. But I think Denver is, now that Gordon is back and Gordon, I don't believe they have a top 10 defense with Aaron Gordon. Yeah. But I think the defense is stable enough that the offense is just, Joker's so good and Jamal Murray is playing so well, I would pick them over the babies.
It's a little bit like Lakers light storyline.
What do you mean?
Great offense, okay defense might carry you.
Yeah, that's correct. With an all-time great offensive player, the obviously very different styles in Joker and Luka. Yeah, I believe that absolutely can.
Gordon changes everything for them. Like he's become like this great
three-point shooter. That no-dip 3, just catch and just fire.
No, he changes everything.
Mendoza working out in Vegas. Kirk Cousins already there. How many games are we going to see? Is he a lock to be the Raiders quarterback?
Nick's got the Raiders.
Oh my gosh! You know what, guys? I'm never making a bold prediction again.
I like the Raiders. Wow. Hey, UFL is back. This is week 2, final game of week 2. St. Louis against the Dallas Renegades. My squad tonight, 8 Eastern, right here on FS1. Welcome back, Coach Mangini. Welcome back, football. Raiders hosting expected number 1 pick Fernando Mendoza today. Kirk Cousins already on the Raiders squad, reunited with Kubiak, who was QB coach and OC with the Vikings. So we're not sure who's going to be the week 1 starter. But are we sure that Fernando Mendoza will be the Raiders' franchise quarterback? Coach?
Thinking about this, it just depends on how we're defining franchise quarterback. Are we looking at it sort of as that first tier where it's the Patrick Mahomes, the Joe Burrows, the Lamar, like that level of franchise quarterback, or then there's the next level?
10-year starter.
Trevor Lawrence level.
Well, yeah, and
Whoa,
Trevor's an
that
MVP.
sounded
No,
almost...
Nobody got a contract and they're happy.
but that's exactly what I'm talking about.
that's
It's that other level of quarterback.
hard to
There is Dak Prescott.
Yes.
Prescott.
Oh, yeah.
Trevor Lawrence. Would you be happy with Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah, thrilled.
I don't know. I don't know if you'd be thrilled with it. You get into that second contract with a guy, you think that he's going to give you a chance to lead you to a championship, and we're going to have to see with Trevor Lawrence. But that's where I see him landing more so than that top tier of guy. And he, as a player comparison, he kind of reminds me of Chad Pennington. So I had Chad in New York, and Chad, the year that he was drafted, he was the first quarterback drafted in that class. Now, Brady was drafted a little bit later in that class, but Chad was drafted as the first guy. He was 13-0 in college, a little bit different conference. I get all that, but really good processor, really accurate passer, catchable ball, excellent leader, smart, all those things that you see in Mendoza. And he did give you a chance to compete for it. He just wasn't necessarily in that next tier of guys. So I think that he could be there for a long time. He could make them very competitive, but I don't necessarily see him being in that elite category.
Pennington's an interesting comp that I think makes sense. He's bigger, though, than Pennington, right?
He's 2 inches bigger than Chad is.
Because I'd be hesitant to say this about any quarterback coming out of college, because we've just seen so many ballyhooed Heisman winners, top picks.
Generational talent.
Right, not paying. I mean, Trevor Lawrence has come along.
Undefeated in high
But he's not
school.
what we thought, at least to this point.
Playoff game pretty early, a big contract.
He's not what we thought
Top 5
he'd be.
MVP this year.
But then Brock Purdy is a good quarterback. So it's just so hard to predict. I do, though, think they're setting him up. I think, like you said, you named all his qualities. I think he does have qualities that you like. And then I like the fact that he's going to go in there and be behind Kirk Cousins for at least half the season, if not most of the season or all of it. I like that. So I think they're putting him in a good position to be a franchise quarterback. And if he's got the goods, I think they're setting him up well.
I like him.
That's what I wanted you to...
I think that winning is underrated in college. I like that Joe Burrow won at LSU. I like that he won with Indiana. J.J. McCarthy won, and I didn't see him throw the ball. So that went frustrating. And you know what I like?
But he didn't win.
You're talking about a national. You got to win a national championship.
No, I look. If the measurables work, great. And if the pro day is, all the pro days are the same. But if the measurables are good, that's one great thing. If the characters are great, like he's leadership and all of that is good. And then if he actually wins, I like that.
Listen, the winning at Indiana does matter to me. And winning the way he won.
In a big game.
Right, and he's playing big in big games. I actually think, Fernando Mendoza won some big games. I know that's like controversial opinion. But I like his disposition. I think that, and you guys know I don't like small quarterbacks, and I like big quarterbacks. And he's a big kid, and unlike where the other difference in Chad is, even at Marshall in college, Chad wasn't putting his body on the line quite as much. Tell me if you think I'm wrong. But he wasn't. To me, Mendoza, I don't know if he'll do it in the pros, but has a toughness of his running style that just shows a level of athleticism that is somewhat unique for the position. Not all that unique.
But you'd agree his level of athleticism and like the other guys that we talk about where he can really make a lot of plays with his feet. He can do enough to kind of escape, but he's really going to have to step up into the pocket and move around the pocket.
No, I don't think he will have plus athleticism for athletic NFL quarterbacks. I agree with that. I also, though, So because other winners in college are Bryce Young and Mac Jones, who were first-round picks. And
I like both those guys.
I know you do,
but
I think
measurables aren't there for Bryce.
Measurables aren't there for Bryce. I don't know if they're quite, and I feel like the intangibles weren't quite there for Mac the way they are for this
A little
young
bit
man.
silly.
I don't know how beloved he's been. But again, I'm not trying to pick on your guy. I look at, though, quarterbacks. I think we make a mistake when we're projecting the quarterbacks and look at them just within the class rather than in buckets of classes, like prospects over the last 5 years of quarterback drafts. And that's where my hesitation on Mendoza comes, in that and it's honestly, one of my concerns about Cam Ward were these guys the best quarterback that came out this year?
Fair concern.
But if we take the last 10 first-round quarterbacks, would they have been 7th and 9th? And so like
we
that.
Talk every year like there's a
right. There's not always a great quarterback.
Right.
And did we get overserved in excellent quarterbacks in the Caleb Drake class? Because I think Caleb's going to be excellent. Drake almost won MVP. Bo Nix, even if Jaden, I left out Jaden, and then my apologies. And Bo Nix obviously has really won a lot and just played great in a playoff game. So if those guys were just dropped in the quarterback classes after theirs, and then Cam Ward was the second quarterback taken in the 17th pick, and Mendoza was the second quarterback taken now, which probably would go to the Jets to be the second pick anyway, would the expectations be a little different? Because we joke about Trevor, but teams don't think it when they take a quarterback number one. But Trevor Lawrence has had an above-average number one overall pick start to a career. Because it is really hard to get the actual.
Doesn't he have the same resume as Trevor Lawrence? Big.
I don't think he was
winning.
Trevor was far better throughout the entirety of his college career, even though his best year and Trevor's best year are similar.
And he was a Gatorade High School All-American.
Player of the year. I mean, a lot of All-Americans.
I felt better watching Mendoza's tape than I felt watching Cam Ward's tape last year. But to your point, it does depend on who you're working against in terms of the class of quarterbacks. So he benefits from that aspect of it. And I do think there's some value. Now, Indiana had a good season before he got there, and so the foundation was laid. But the fact that he was able to come in and actually get them to the national championship, win the national championship, have the undefeated season, that does matter. And he essentially changed that franchise.
Yeah.
Indiana was irrelevant for so long.
The other thing that I like Kubiak, and I don't think he's going anywhere. We saw him do great with Sam Darnold. We saw him do great with Cousins, obviously, in Minnesota. The other number one picks, Cam Ward's coach, gone, so he's got a new regime. Caleb's coach, gone, has a new regime.
Why do you say you don't think Kubiak's going anywhere?
He's a good coach.
I would just be shocked if he got fired.
You'd be shocked if guys get fired? I mean, are a lot of these guys, I'm not saying it'd be one and done, but I would say the odds are, and the history is, that the Raiders have a new head coach before the end of Mendoza's rookie contract.
Guys. But do you think it's a Titans and Bears situation that he's walking into? I don't think so.
No, but I thought Trevor was walking into. I didn't think Urban Meyer was going to make 13 games.
He's never coached in the NFL. First things first, overtime today. Michigan's dominance. Did it change the state of college basketball? We discuss. Meanwhile, Jeremiah Love is talking about going to Canton, not on a trip to visit the museum, about being in the Hall of Fame.
He's talking about that?
Yep, one person here absolutely loves it. And finally, it's Top 10 Tuesday. A few editions of Top 10 Tuesday. This one will be great. Out of the 10 teams that are practicing today, who's the best, Danny, or who are you most optimistic about?
Of the 10 teams that have a new head coach, who's going to have the best season? So for this season, not the next 5 years, not the next 10 years.
Not predictions week.
Yeah, pencil.
I have a confession to make. Because this, like you said, there were a few top 10s. One of them that Dan ended up not doing was about must be at sporting events. And the reason that's not happening is not because of the reason Danny thought. Danny thought, it's too hard to understand, this is more topical. It was because I saw that he had in the top 5 a Friday afternoon game at Wrigley Field. And I was like, we can't put that on TV. I was like, you know what? I was like, you know what? He had that above the Wimbledon final and the Super Bowl. The Friday 120 Cubs game was better than Game 7 NBA Finals.
Didn't say that.
And I said,
Didn't say that.
Okay. And I said, you know what?
Nick saved.
I never pull seniority, but I was like, blame it on one of the bosses or something. We can't.
To be fair, Nick wanted to put like an 8-hour final table at the World Series of Poker.
Friday 120 at Wrigley's a religious
with
experience.
sunglasses till 4 in the morning.
Friday 120 Cubs game. Everybody
I would like
knows
to do that.
Yeah, you would like
you're
to
not
do
at
it.
work.
And
You're
if you
drinking
were
an old
in
style.
Chicago for a long weekend, you might do it.
Now,
But if you were,
not top 5.
but it would not. It wouldn't top
I'm
the
okay going
Wimbledon
into the
final.
ground without doing it.
Well, that's a mistake. I feel sorry for you. Let's all go. Show outing. Friday 120.
Yeah, remember, you can bring your computers.
Yeah.
Michigan are the champions. Parkins picks right again, just on a heater. Danny grinded the tape, studied the analytics, and talked to people in the know. And in the end, his professional analysis, spot on. Michigan, too tall. Danny Hurley was actually happy it was just a close game. Take a listen.
To be able to keep that team under 40% from the field, 38%. This team has destroyed everyone they faced in this tournament. The growth, the way they played in March. I mean, like to just the whole experience that this team has given, the coaches, the fan base, to play to the last, to be one of the last 2 teams standing.
Danny, what was the number 1 reason your Wolverines won?
I mean, you can mock too tall all you want.
Too tall was right.
They jumped off the screen. They were too tall. UConn was like doing hook shots and working for their baskets, and then Michigan, layup. It's a lot easier. I got cut from the high school basketball team. My mom said, height is might. I wasn't tall enough.
Height is might.
Yeah, it made me feel better.
And you're pretty tall for a high school.
And my high school was pretty good. But also, I mean, I think the trend that this continued is something that we should just pay attention to as a show and like a sports community. We have a graphic here for it. I think it's a trend that. Yeah, okay, that's right. Yeah, no, I mean, I just keep winning.
That actually tricked me.
Yeah, I just keep winning. Winning the playoffs when it matters. Most NFL picks, and I got it right.
That playoff record.
Yeah, the playoff record was spectacular. Finished strong. Told you guys who was going to win the tournament.
Darn near a route.
It's just something.
The same tourney winner as me. We both had Houston.
Yeah, but I'm not in a professional rivalry with Bruin anyway. But so listen, I think Michigan was clearly the overwhelming team in college basketball this year. They are, and we'll get into the bigger picture stuff, just like all transfers and, a hodgepodge, like they are where the sport is going. But when you watch them over the course of the year and any style of play, putting up 90 points in every game, everything went right for UConn yesterday. Michigan shot poorly. Their best player was clearly hobbled and admitting at a halftime interview that he couldn't take advantage of players and that he was hurt.
They out-rebounded them.
They out-rebounded. Everything was going UConn's way, and they basically never led. So they are just an overwhelming team, and a deserving champion won.
Well, look, and to your point, just looking at Hurley's response, even before the game, like when he said, you don't have to be the best team this season to win.
Very
like
different.
when you look at a lot of his comments and then afterwards, it's like he knew they were the better team. Now, I'm sure he believed we can concoct something and we can win this game, but he knew, going in and after the game. But yeah, the size was huge. They dominated them in the paint. They got to the foul line,
Made their free throws.
Twice as much, and made their free throws. And they blocked a ton of shots. Like their size and defense was the difference in this game. And then they made the big plays. Now, Danny, I will say this, and I said it earlier. When that game was still close. I mean, it was within striking distance. Yeah. And while Michigan was clearly the better team, you were thinking maybe Hurley, look, this is how they win. This is how they beat Duke. And I thought maybe they had a shot. If Dusty, I think if we still have the video But it was 2 minutes left.
Down 6.
They got the steal. They're down 6 now. This should have. Now again, they contested the rim, so that's a good defensive play. But had they hit that, they cut it to 4. They don't. They come down. Michigan
and
hit
even
a
if they
3.
just get a stop here.
Yeah, then maybe you're in play.
Solo ball
now
gamble.
again, I'm not saying they definitely would have won that if they hit that, but that's when it was definitely over, after they didn't convert this and then Michigan hit the 3.
Yeah, I'm really curious because I'm going to echo what these guys said. I just think Michigan was better. And while I didn't get much about this tournament right at all, yesterday's game went about how I thought, which is Michigan controlled the second half. In college basketball, in a million ways, is very different than the NBA. And that in the NBA, an 11-point lead sometimes can feel like nothing. Right. And in college basketball, a 7-point lead can feel like, oh, I don't know what they're going to do. And part of that is just like the percentage of points scored. Like when I was watching the Women's National Championship game, I said it was Easter Sunday, I said to my mom and daughter, I said, well, this game's over. And my mom said, they're only down, I think, 17. I was like, yeah, but down 17 when you only have 28 is like, you know what I mean, a huge number. And so, like, it's just.
And every NBA team's got really good offensive players.
Right, guys who can just easily score. Yeah. And so I didn't feel, though, KW, that UConn, like, if UConn doesn't get blasted by St. John's in the Big East title game, they're the final 1 seed. Like, this wasn't, this wasn't like a wow. How did they get here to the, I understand they were a 2, not a 1, but I think going into that Sunday, the weekend that the selection committee's done, they could have taken Florida, the 1 seed that Florida ended up getting. They were, an excellent team throughout the year, but Michigan, Arizona, and Duke had the 3 best seasons pretty clearly. They were the 3 definitive 1 seeds. Duke, for its second straight year, kind of blew its tournament game, a game they controlled the game against Houston. They were up 5 with the ball with less than a minute left against Houston and lost. We know how they lost to UConn in historic fashion. And so then Michigan, Arizona, it probably was unfair for us to call it the championship game because this game was closer than Michigan, Arizona, but it felt like those were the 2 best teams in the Final Four, and the winner of that game was going to win the title.
Danny, let me show you a headline from The Athletic. Michigan's greatness can't save March Madness from something that was much less than that. What does the tournament say about college basketball?
It's a different sport. Like, we're watching just something that is entirely different than it was even 5 years ago, and we have to adjust in real time our expectations for this sporting event.
I did adjust them. You told me because there were no upsets, we'd get this epic Elite 8 and Final Four.
I said we needed to.
Honestly,
because that was
Is that what you think?
Yeah, no, we can check the tape. And by the way, like, on paper, we did. The games didn't deliver.
No.
But, like, the advanced analytic, even more hardcore college basketball fans than I am, said that Arizona, Michigan was, like, statistically the 2 best teams to ever meet in the Final Four. Now, Michigan happened to blow them out, and you could roll your eyes at the analytics, but that is what the numbers.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I understand, but that is what the numbers said about that.
I mean, no one thinks that.
No, hold on.
And it's not even, like, do you even think that?
Hold on, let me translate what I think the advanced analytics are saying. Because what they are not saying is that Michigan or Arizona was as good as the Georgetown teams of the 80s or UNLV or Duke. What they are saying is in their success against this year's college basketball field.
Sure.
You understand what I mean? Made them, the gap between them and the other teams in college basketball.
Okay. They were the highest teams to meet. In terms
right.
of
they were the most
season.
dominant within the season.
But it didn't deliver.
But right.
No, it definitely didn't deliver, no question. So the UConn-Duke game was excellent because of the comeback and the shot, and then the other games at the end, they were between Titan programs, and this was a huge, Michigan going for a dominant season against Dan Hurley and UConn going for a dynasty. That is a matchup that we would all take in a national championship game in terms of storylines going in. It's just, I think the sport needs to have a reckoning on what it wants to do. Like, is this going to work? Is it going to work with, after the game last night, when One Shining Moment is playing on our television, they've got Michigan assistant coaches contacting kids in the transfer portal? Like, does that make sense fundamentally to the sport, or do we need to figure out, and we're not going to do it here in a podcast topic or whatever, but like, do the players need to unionize, have a players union, and sign contracts with these schools that can maybe be more than a year so we can have some degree of continuity between the teams? Because I don't know that this is sustainable for what we all loved about the sport.
Well, look, the only reason it's working, in my opinion, is the tournament, the format of the tournament. And I agree, the games didn't deliver. Last night's game, God bless Michigan, but it wasn't an exciting game, all right? But the tournament works. The regular season is not nearly as popular as it used to be.
Yep.
But the tournament, just because of the format, everybody loves that. So, and look, a lot of these teams are much older now, right? 23-year-olds, 24-year-olds, some 25-year-olds. They're guys that aren't good enough to be in the NBA, but they can go to college. Like a lot of and I'm not trying to
50-year guys
short any of these guys. If somebody's looking at some of these guys that were great in the tournament and thinking they're going to go to the NBA and be great, they're mistaken. You have to gauge that they're playing against teenagers and even sophomores who, if they were really great, would be in the NBA. So it's a minor league, and to your point, unionize all that, but it's minor league basketball.
So that is where, and I feel passionately about this. College sports should not be a minor league professional sport. They lose all of their charm and importance is the lack of word. I almost said je ne sais quoi. I don't know what it's called. But that makes it special. We are not interested in just the G League. That's not what college basketball is. And so one of the reasons I firmly believe women's college basketball has gained momentum over the years is that is the place we meet teams, we grow with them. I remember Caitlin and Angel had a thing a year ago. Now they have a thing again. Oh, wait, Caitlin's back in the Final Four. Oh, Haley Van Lith. Now, she did transfer, but I remember her. She was with them, like the UConn women. Holy crap, are they ever going to lose? Like UCLA, are they going to get over the hump? And that is, we went from a wildly unfair and I feel exploitive system where it's like if you sign autographs, you're going to, get in trouble, to no rules or regulations whatsoever, and neither to me is the correct one. Because it is, I think, imperative for the health of the sport that we get, because the tournament is where it draws in all the casuals, that you develop an emotional attachment with a team in the tournament that then the next year you care about. Yeah. That the next year you're like, oh, I want to see how that team is going to do. Like, that in this sport is gone now. And the only way that it would have offset it, it's like, yes, that's true, but man, the final 2 weeks of the tournament are the best amateur games you've ever seen in your life. And that's where I was giving you a hard time. Yeah. It wasn't that. They were blowouts, and Duke UConn was awesome. Everything else was
Now, here's the thing, and I agree with you. Like, you use the perfect word, I think, charm. Like, everybody has their colleges they rooted for growing up or that they're connected to or whatever. But if you have essentially minor league players getting paid, I'm paid now to play for the University of Michigan. You don't think that could... Those Michigan fans, those alums and all that will still be,
I think
even
that's
though
fine.
These aren't viewed as like real students.
No. I think that's fine as long as it's multi-year. As long as we can get to know them. You know what I mean? Okay. Like and again, I don't mean to bring up.
There's a fairness. Like if I'm a freshman and I'm dominating and I want to go to the league.
I think they'll always be allowed to go pro. I think it's that you bounce from school to school to school.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I don't think
sign contracts, incentives for if you outperform it, you can make more money. Like it's complicated, but this system clearly isn't. Yeah. It's not right.
Yeah.
All right, time now for Top 10 Tuesday. If you've got a new coach, you get to start practice a little earlier. So here's Danny's top 10 teams with new head coaches. Who's the best and who's the 10th best, which is the worst.
The worst, yeah. And this is for this upcoming season, and it worked out because there are 10 teams with new head coaches. And number 10, I think, was pretty simple. The Miami Dolphins. And it has nothing to do with Jeff Hafley, who I think did a really nice job in Green Bay and might eventually do a very good job in Miami. It's just, this is as close to a tank in the NFL as we've ever seen. The salary cap, we can show it, is just over $300 million, and over half of their money is spent on players who are not on the roster.
That's unprecedented by a lot.
Correct. It is an NFL record for a team. They are not going to be able to be competitive. It's going to be very interesting to see how they judge Malik Willis this year. I now think this next grouping of teams kind of comes in. There's like a 4-team group, but this is how I put them in order. Coming in at number 9, the Arizona Cardinals. I do like Mike LaFleur's profile, though. Brother of Matt LaFleur, Sean McVay's offensive coordinator, worked for Kyle Shanahan for a number of years. He's young, probably has cool plays. So I do
like the young guys with plays.
I like young guys with cool plays, but real tough division to break through. And coming in at number 8, Tennessee Titans. It's the opposite of that. Robert Saleh, Brian Dable, they know what they're doing. I love the John Franklin Myers addition with Jeffrey Simmons on the defensive line. That can be a real strength for them. We'll see what they do with the 4th overall pick. A division where you can ultimately, make some headway. They only play the AFC North and the NFC East this year. Not a terribly difficult schedule on paper for the Titans. Number 7, the Browns. I think their offseason plan is very simple. We hired Todd Monken. We have 3 new offensive linemen, 1 via a trade and a big extension, a couple of signings in free agency. They're going to try to run the ball and play defense. Higher floor, try to have some credibility in Cleveland. They also have 2 first-round picks. Then at number 6, the Boomer Bust Raiders. New coach, new center, new receiver, 3 new players on defense, and then obviously a new number 1 pick at quarterback. Very tough division, but there's so much new there at positions that matter. Some upside for the Vegas Raiders. History, though, working against them. At the average number of wins for a first-time head coach and a number 1 overall pick, the only ones to make the playoffs in their first year, an outlier, Chuck Pagano and Andrew Luck.
Interesting.
The next 3 teams, I think, are pretty interchangeable. You could debate the order here, but I have the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike McCarthy coming in at number 5. Assuming Aaron Rodgers is there and obviously McCarthy is there, that presents a high floor. But how high or low is the ceiling? And I think that they are
When you say high floor, I'm sorry to interrupt. What do you think the floor is if Rodgers is healthy?
7 wins.
Okay.
Because they won 6 or 7 his last year.
Yeah, I mean they made the playoffs last year, right?
Oh, he made his last year together in Green Bay.
With McCarthy and Green Bay. I think they were 6-9-1.
Yes,
Rodgers.
no, that is absolutely true. But that relationship at that point frayed. Matt LaFleur got a new version of Aaron Rodgers. He embraced more modern things that I assume he will bring over from his time in Dallas. But I do think competent coach, competent quarterback, old roster. I have them at number 5. Coming to number 4, I'm a Jackson Dart believer. He is
really?
Yeah, he is boomer bust. Like, he is a reckless football player, but he makes plays. Like, his high-end stuff, if he can harness it, is just screams elite playmaker to me.
Wow.
And I'm very interested in what, now they have competency at coach, and the problem for them this upcoming year, and I know schedules change, just look at the teams they play on the road outside of their division. At Detroit, at the best defense in football, the Colts, and then probably the 2 best teams in the NFL last year, in the Rams and Seahawks. Very tough road schedule this year for the Giants. You'd like to maybe get one of those at home where you can kind of sneak a win. Coming in at number 3, the Falcons. They have a lot of questions. James Pierce has a really serious legal situation. Obviously, we'll see what that impact is. Probably significant. He was a huge piece of their pass rush. They play the Niners and the Chiefs as part of their 3rd place schedule. That's very, very difficult. But Kevin Stefanski in a dome with weapons. Like, what he did in Cleveland was pretty impressive. Now you give him Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and Bijan Robinson.
And you got Tua starting?
I think it's a straight quarterback competition. 50-50 shot. I'd give the slight edge to Penix.
I got to get Kevin Stefanski's PR guy. Everybody loves what
I do think he's a good coach.
Everybody's like, wow, he made the playoffs with Baker Mayfield. Yeah, Baker Mayfield's good. Like
two-time coach of the year in Cleveland.
That's my point, because the media votes on coach of the year, and I need his PR guy. I just don't. I don't get it. Go ahead. Sorry.
I think he's better than what they've had, and it's definitely better talent than he's ever had on offense. Coming in number 2, Bruce Ravens. I love what Jesse Minter did with the talent for the Chargers on defense. You bring in even more talent in Baltimore, and the reason that I separated it out here between 2 and 1 is pretty simple. The Ravens won 8 games, and Buffalo won 12. We had questions about both coaches. Joe Brady promoted internally, Jesse Minter from the outside. But I do think that the floor for the Ravens is lower than it is for the Bills, who just never seem to fall below double-digit wins.
Yeah, look, I get why you might put the Bills ahead. I would switch the Ravens and the Bills because I think it's at least on the board that the Bills have a decline defensively without McDermott there. I think the Ravens mentor, I think they're going to be very good defensively, and offensively, I just think they're going to be really good because of their personnel. So I would switch those. But
I think that those two we're going to compare them all year. They're on your SBOB list for a reason.
Before I go, look, KW, were you going to say something?
It's just everybody did something brand new, right? Jesse Minter came over from the Chargers and the Browns and the Ravens and the Giants, and Mike McCarthy's back, except the Bills.
Well, because all the other teams had disaster years. I mean, that would be
Bills
one
won
of the
12
reasons
games
why.
and a playoff game.
Yeah, I know, but
listen, I don't.
It's almost like it's a reason to be number 1. I totally get it. But if it wasn't broke, I just don't.
He was crying. There's tears in the locker room. I mean, for real. I mean,
are they going to be different? Yes, but they're not. Everything else is additive. Like, you can't tell me what is additive to having Joe Brady.
Listen, to be fair, I didn't love the hire. I agree with a lot of what you're saying. To be fair, we don't know that Jesse Minter's additive over John Harbaugh. That's a big swing. It's a big swing because the coach and the quarterback seem to have falling out.
Well, this is something.
When I gave Christina my headline, I didn't know Danny was going to take a gratuitous shot at me because he picked the national championship game. He also set up a bracket competition for the office. It settled today, and our winner, Gianna, got no prize. So
it's coming.
Well, it should have come today.
Well, it's coming.
But go ahead and pop the bar, Christina, if you want.
Hey!
Another win.
I agree with the list.
Yet another win.
Wow, you'll pick a winner again.
I agree. I sadly agree with the list. I think it's right. I tried to find a reason to argue, and then I thought, I think I might slot these in the exact same order. Wow. Because a lot of it's based on like talent of the roster combined with do you think so? Yeah.
You're learning. I'm getting all these things right on the show. All of a sudden, you're going to start taking these takes.
Coming up next, Jeremiah Love talking about Canton.
I like that.
I know.
I love it.
And does Fernando Mendoza sit the entire year? That's next on First Things First Overtime.
Welcome back to First Things First. We got Coach Mangini and Willie Colon out here. Let's go to Vegas. I love going to Vegas. Yeah. The Raiders, I did it too much in my 20s. They got the number 1 pick in the draft. They had Fernando Mendoza in on their top 30 visit. And yesterday, the same Raiders officially signed Kirk Cousins. So here is Kirk on why he chose the Raiders and how much he's looking forward to the upcoming season. Take a listen.
I think it starts with the coaching staff. I was really excited about being able to work with coaches I worked with before, and Clint Kubiak, Rick Dennison, Andrew Janocko. I had some of my best years playing with them, and coaching is a big deal in this league. So getting around them excited me. And I think it's a team that has a lot of young talent and that they're building something special, and I want to be a part of that.
As always, Kirk Cousins saying all of the right things. Do you think there is any chance Mendoza doesn't see the field this season?
Listen, I think right now it comes down to his ability to process and look efficient and competent. I think I trust Clint Kubiak's decision making, but I think you bring Kirk Cousins in there because he raises the floor, right? He allows his team to be on time. He's stable. He's competent, and I think right now I think we don't talk about it enough because we're this time of year because of the draft. We talk about the physical attributes, but there's a part of this where you also have to protect the kid's mental state, meaning his confidence, right? If you throw him out there because the fans want him or because there's a need to see him go and he's not there, you can set him back. So I think there's probably some point where you say, hey, in the middle of the season. Because I do see Kirk Cousins playing in October, in November, and if things go bad, then you say, all right, let's see what the kid got. But nevertheless, man, I think it's a fair bet. We will see him at some point this season.
Yeah, this is such an interesting situation because when Kirk Cousins got brought to Atlanta, he thought he was going to be the guy, and then they draft a quarterback high, and suddenly that dynamic changes, and there's a lot more controversy. Where here, he's coming in understanding that he's a placeholder, and part of his responsibility is to help nurture and bring Mendoza along. That being said, when you draft a quarterback number 1 overall, at some point he's going to play during that season. And unless Kirk goes in and is just lights out and they're doing extremely well, to me, the first amount of turbulence they hit, there's going to be a lot of clamoring to put Mendoza.
Quickly, DP. Go ahead. This is a pet issue of mine.
I want to say that about Coach too. That's a good point because I do think right now, if there is turbulence, to your point, I want to see how Clint Kubiak handles that turbulence because the media is going to be on him. Like, get him out there.
Quick.
Right? And it's hard for a team that's really trying to buy hope with a young quarterback.
So this drives me crazy. Kirk Cousins being in Vegas can be additive for Fernando Mendoza, how to game plan, how to carry yourself as a professional, be a player coach. I'm on board with all of that stuff. But if Kirk Cousins starts 4-0 and has 300 yards in every game,
you let him ride.
But if to me, you play Fernando Mendoza when he is ready. Irregardless of wins and losses, performance, media pressure, call-ins to talk radio. If Fernando Mendoza is not ready and Kirk Cousins sprains his knee in week 2, then don't play Fernando Mendoza. Play him when he is ready. And if that is week 1, great. If it's week 5, great. If it's week 15, great. But he is the future. He is the number 1 pick. And I think I saw it in Chicago. We're going to sit Mitch Trubisky and we're going to play Mike Glennon. Mm-hmm. And then Mike Glennon led the league in turnovers after 4 weeks, and they caved to the pressure and they played Mitch Trubisky before he was ready. And it set him back. To me, Mendoza set Trubisky back. Gotcha. It set Trubisky
Did it though? Did it?
Well, listen, maybe it would have never worked. Maybe it would have never worked.
It doesn't look like he's ever really been ready. Now, look,
they changed coaches after that. I don't even mean to make it. My point is, Mendoza's timeline should be his own.
Well, let me say this: if he looks ready in training camp, I still wouldn't throw him out.
I see that, and I would.
That's where I disagree.
And I would.
And look, everybody has different opinions as what you should do with that high pick. Because we've seen plenty of examples where a guy goes number 1 overall and they play him right away, and the thought process is get him as much experience as possible.
Yep.
And then we've seen the other school of thought where sit him as long as you can so he can get as much experience, so when he does get a chance to play, he's in the best position to be successful. Now, you could get people to argue both those points.
There are success stories for both, sure.
And feel very strongly about why they have the position they have.
So let's get into the voluntary program of this offseason. Some guys are attending, some guys are not, but 10 teams underway with new leadership. Lamar Jackson showed up for the Ravens workout. Josh Allen and DJ Moore made appearances for the Bills. This offseason, head coach Joe Brady got promoted after being the offensive coordinator. Coach, here, I will start with you. Do you think the Joe Brady-Josh Allen pairing will pay off in Buffalo?
Well, their pairing is going to be fine, because it's already been fine. They have a relationship, and a big part of why he's the head coach of the Bills right now is because of that existing relationship. So from an offensive perspective, yeah, that should work out the way it's been and should be successful and should actually give them a leg up over other head coaches. Now, whether Joe Brady as a head coach is going to work out, that remains to be seen. And the difficulty of being the offensive coordinator and the head coach is so many other things are pulling at you that you can't always give the attention that you need to or that you used to the job that you're also assigned to doing. Organizationally, it's hard for me to imagine that things are great there just because of the way they handled the whole transition to Joe Brady, and that's a real concern for me.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of pressure on Joe Brady to get this team over the hump, right? Like, to me, I think the Buffalo Bills are at this point where we can't judge them on the regular season because I do expect them to be 11 and 12 win team.
Yep.
It's all about getting to January and getting to the Super Bowl. We've looked at this team year after year saying, oh, they have a Super Bowl roster, they have an MVP quarterback, they have a good defense, they have all these things. Now they have DJ Moore. Like, they've checked off a lot of boxes. If they don't win a Super Bowl with Joe Brady, I mean, there's a legit concern, like, man, they may never win one, right? Because there's so much momentum over the years about this team arriving. They've gotten so close. Nevertheless, they haven't finished the journey. And now it's on Joe Brady because of the relationship with Josh Allen that he's supposed to say, all right, I know what we need to do. Let's get there. But I don't think that if they don't do it, man, I'm like, in the next 2-3 years, you may have to break this team up.
Well, and to Willie's point, Joe Brady's starting at a different level of expectation than most of these other head coaches are starting at, where they're expecting him to go
Elevate.
deep into the playoffs or the Super Bowl. And
it's him and Jesse Minter in Baltimore, right? Those two guys are expected. They're first-time head coaches who are expected to win right away.
But I think
it's
more
harder
so
for Brady,
in Buffalo
100%.
for what the situation is in Baltimore.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because with Baltimore, there's you lose likely. There's questions about Matabikwe, who you paid a lot of money on the defensive side. You don't have a true number one receiver. Like, there's holes in Baltimore. Buffalo, there's no holes.
Well, Super Bowl or bust. Good luck, Joe Brady.
Good luck.
We are 16 days away from the 2026 NFL Draft, so we want to bring you inside the OT War Room. Every day, we're talking about the biggest storylines ahead of the draft. We have Super Bowl champion Eric Mangini, Super Bowl champion Willie Colon, and I'm still here. So we are talking today with Jeremiah Love, and really the concept of Jeremiah Love and a running back being taken that high. Of course, the highly touted prospect out of Notre Dame. A lot of people think he's the most talented player in the entire draft, regardless of position. Many believe he could go inside of the top 5 here in a couple of weeks. So, not to anyone's surprise, when asked at his pro day, he was very confident about his goals for his career in this upcoming season. Here's Jeremiah Love.
I tell him that I want to be one of the best of all time. I want to be a Hall of Famer. I want to be a Pro Bowler my very first year. I want to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. I tell him all these goals that I have, but obviously these are goals. Goals are goals, but you got to have a process for how you want to achieve those things. So I'll go every season and set out like little goals, like per week, what I can do to make sure that I'm reaching the bigger goal that I have for myself. But I told all these teams this, and it's a lot of big talk, but I have a process and I have a plan for how I'm going to get there.
It is big talk, Coach. Last running back.
Coach doesn't like big talk.
I know he doesn't, which is why I'm going to start with him.
I love the way he said little goals followed by big goals. I want to go to the Hall of Fame. I want to be an all-pro.
Yeah.
Those are pretty big goals.
I want to go to the Hall of Fame too one day. I don't know which one. What is a ceiling for Jeremiah Love as a rookie in terms of a team taking him in the top 5 and this upcoming season?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because it's going to depend a little bit on not just his ability, but also the ability of his offensive line and the group that he goes to in terms of protection. That part of it is important, but then also what type of quarterback do you have? Does that quarterback actually generate some kind of threat where they've got to play split safety defense? You look at Ashton Genty last year, I thought his ceiling was going to be higher than what it was. But I didn't think it was necessarily as high as where he was drafted. And going through the course of the season, I think he finished up with, a 3.7 per carry. It's a pretty disappointing rookie season for a back that was drafted that high. And I had concerns about him coming out because of his play against ranked opponents. So I went back and I just looked at the ranked opponents that Jeremiah Love's faced. And the thing that's encouraging here is 12 games against ranked opponents. 12.8 yards or 12.8 rushes per game. I would like that to be higher, but the number there at 6.8, that's really encouraging.
Yeah, the production is there.
Which lends itself to think, okay, as he goes to the next level against much higher, caliber defenses, he's got a shot to be as effective as some of the other successful backs like that we've seen over time.
Yeah, listen, I think he's the type of, and Coach Wright, he lands to a functional offensive line, he could be deadly. I think he's just super versatile. And I think at the end of the day, he's one of those type of backs where, if you're a defense, you prepare for him before you prepare for the quarterback. Just because he offers so much, he expands the playbook. And when you watch him on tape, man, he has the home run speed. He can catch the ball, especially if you put him out in motion in space. There's so much he can do single-handedly by himself. He excites you. I could see him being a Pro Bowler in his first year and having over 1,500 yards if, to your coach's point, he gets to an offense that really has a good offensive line and a playbook that complements his skill set.
Right, so much of this is situation. There hasn't been an offensive rookie of the year running back since Saquon Barkley in 2018. It hasn't been very common recently as the league goes more passing. But before Saquon Barkley, Alvin Kamara the year before, Todd Gurley a couple of years before that. So maybe not completely unrealistic for Jeremiah Love. But Willie,
yes,
you've got the comp here, all right? You were drafted back in 2006, went on to win that Super Bowl ring, of course, during your 10-year career. I love comps.
Yes.
Don't be shy. When you look at Jeremiah Love, best case scenario, what are you seeing?
As you're saying, I can feel the heat from Coach. Like, I can feel the coach like, what was he going to say? Listen, I grew up and actually seeing Marshall Faulk play, and when you turn on the tape, he reminds me a lot of the great Hall of Famer Marshall Faulk. You talk right now with his ability right now to be elusive. Look at the spin move right here by the great Marshall Faulk. Finds daylight, gets home, he has home run speed. So does Jeremiah Love, man. Jeremiah Love, at that size, 6 feet, 220 pounds, ran a 4.3. You see the home run speed right there. Gets home, he can carry an offense. You talk about the footwork, running behind his pass, being elusive. Well, Jeremiah Love can do the same thing. Look at him right here, if we get to it ASAP. There go Faulk into the end zone. But look at Jeremiah Love, right? Get behind the offensive line, finds daylight, gets to the outside, up the numbers, gets his pass north, boom, out of there. Can't catch him. The speed alone with the size and everything he can do with the football hand is electric. Right here, when you turn on the tape, he has hands for days, man. Like the kid has legit hands, very much like Marshall Faulk. Marshall Faulk scared a lot of people in the screen game. So does Jeremiah Love. Look at that one-hand snag. This kid is legit, man. If you're a team right now who just needs somebody who can put in work between the 20s, this is your guy. So I think he's going to have a hell of a year his rookie year.
All right, one of the greatest things about the first Super Bowl that we won is that they didn't run Marshall Faulk enough.
There you go.
Or else they would have won that Super Bowl. That's an interesting comparison. Marshall may have been a little bit more elusive, side to side than Love is. The thing I really like about Love is if he gets that hole at that 4.36 speed, that's not just combine speed. You see that actually translate onto the field. So once there's daylight, it's hard to catch him.
So, Coach, in these war rooms, it's also like philosophical debates. It's debates about the player, but also about, is this player or this position worthy of this pick? So Jeremiah Love, he's a consensus first rounder. Everybody understands that. But taking a running back in the top 5, if you look at the history, go back to 2019, these are the top running backs taken. You see Genty at 6th. Sometimes it doesn't go off the board till late first round because you get to control that 5th-year option. Early in the second round, we've seen a lot of it. I will say this, even hearing the Marshall Faulk comp, I do not think it would be wise for a team in the top 5 or most of the teams in the top 10 to use a pick on a running back. It is still a luxury position. Saquon Barkley is an outlier, and he was amazing for the Giants as a rookie, but he ended up winning when he went to a good situation in Philly. If you think about the best running backs who have been drafted in the last couple of years, you saw Bijan Robinson on that list. Bijan Robinson, 1,400 plus rushing yards each of the last 2 years. Falcons, 8 wins each of those 2 years. I would even argue that Jahmyr Gibbs, who's the second running back taken in the Bijan Robinson class at 12, would the Lions have been better off taking Jahmyr Gibbs and Jack Campbell, who they took at 12 and 18, or staying put and taking Jalen Carter? Like a premium player at a premium position. Running backs at the peak will get $20 million a year. Receivers are getting $35 million a year. Left tackles can get $30, $40 million a year. It is a pick that I could see benefiting the Chiefs because they are established. I could even see myself talking into the Giants. We got our quarterback, we got our pass rusher, we've got our wide receiver 1. I think if the Titans take Jeremiah Love at 4, that's a luxury. That's putting rims on a car that doesn't have an engine.
Yeah, well, remember, the Lions made a pretty significant transition organizationally, and Jahmyr was a big part of that.
He's been amazing.
His rookie season, he averaged 5.2 yards a carry. He had 10 touchdowns rushing. He had another 6.1 yards per reception. He had pretty impressive production his rookie season. And when you look at rookie running backs, it has been a little bit of a mixed bag. We can pull up the graphic of guys that were drafted in the top 10. So you go down. The most surprising on this list is McCaffrey at 3.7 yards a carry. Zeke had a really good offensive line. Bijan we see, Saquon we see. I understand what you're saying in terms of, is it worth it to take a guy that high It can be if it changes the way that teams have to play against you. If he really, and that's what, again, the disappointing thing about Genty. Genty didn't change any way that people had to play against the Raiders, but if you have a back that forces you to play 8 in the box, that really helps a quarterback because it simplifies defense.
But if Genty was in a better position, would he have changed the way that people play against them?
I'm not sure. You look, again, we go back to McCaffrey's numbers. Didn't have a great rookie season, but we see how dynamic he's been.
He's a great player.
And he changes the way teams play against him. So could Genty follow that same progression? Maybe. But that to me is you better have a conviction that that player is going to change the way teams play against you. Otherwise, it's not worth it.
And I think he is. I think he's a generational type talent. I do. And that's why
he's throwing out the generational type talent.
He did the Marshall Faulk call.
I know that.
And I also believe if you're the Chiefs, though, you do take him, right?
I agree. The Chiefs take him.
Because if you listen, you have Kenneth Walker, but the downside to Kenneth Walker, he doesn't have hands, right? He's a running back that is extremely explosive between the tackles. You're looking at Jeremiah Love as probably one of the most versatile backs coming out of this draft. There's nothing he can't do on the football field. And once again, he elevates your offense. You have Patrick Mahomes coming off of ACL. You need more production in the red zone. You need things on the offensive side where you can be more explosive, get back to being a light show like we like to talk about. He's a guy that's a plug and play instant offense once he puts his feet in cleats for you.
And by the way, I don't think he will be there for the Chiefs at 9 because, and I think they signed Kenneth Walker with that intel that he's going. I just think Washington, New Orleans, Tennessee, the teams that he is most often mocked to, I don't know that those teams are ready to support Jeremiah Love and have him be productive on this rookie deal. That's the debates that they're having inside the War Room. We appreciate it. Tune in tomorrow, day 3. We're talking Ohio State's dominance. We can see which one of those guys are going to be in the first round, which one might end up being busts. We'll be back tomorrow doing that on the OT. Guys, it's going to come as no shock to you that I absolutely love this story. I'm a Chicago guy. I love rivalries. I love a little bit of trash talk. And Ben Johnson sat down with my guy Herb Howard. Shout out to Herb. At the Bigs. Hey, support independent local journalism, by the way. Ben was asked about how he feels regarding the criticism he faced as a rookie head coach last year. Very honest answer. Take a listen.
I didn't come into this league or take this position to necessarily make friends. That's not the case. I love what I do. I love who I'm doing it with. That's the most important thing to me, and everything I do is with them in mind.
Coach, I'm going to give you 2 options here. Do you like this or love this?
I think it's a very healthy attitude. And that's
really?
Well, look, you're going to get criticized no matter what you do, and the second you start listening to people's criticism and change the way you are and what you believe in, you're probably going to do the wrong thing for what you should be doing for the organization.
I just thought you was going to take the approach. Don't make it about you. Make it about the team type. I thought that was going to be on brand.
Well, I think he's making it about the team in the sense that he's saying, I don't care what anybody else says. I'm all about my guys, and if my guys are happy with it, then I'm happy with it. That's how I took it.
How soft is everybody else?
Oh, extremely soft.
Oh, my God. He said F the Packers, and he didn't give a proper handshake to Matt LaFleur. It's sports. Yeah. It's a rivalry.
And the guys in the locker room feed off that, by the way.
Obviously.
They rally behind your coach.
Obviously. Oh, won't someone please think of the children? Ben Johnson didn't handshake Matt LaFleur properly. Get out of here. Ridiculous.